Aita for going to a destination wedding with someone that isn't my girlfriend. My girlfriend, 22F, and I, 23M, have been dating for 8 months. Around 4 months before I met her, my sister announced she is having a destination wedding. Being that I was single, I asked my friend, 22F, if she wanted to go with me. There has never been anything romantic between us, and that is one of the things we value about our friendship. I promised her that even if I got into a relationship, we would still go because I think it would be shitty of me to take that away from a long-standing friend and give it to a relatively newer girlfriend. After a few months, we both ended up in happy and supportive relationships. As it turns out, my friend and girlfriend went to the same high school together, but did not interact much as they were very different people back then. To give some perspective on the girlfriend, she is someone who goes far out of her way to accommodate others and make people feel comfortable, putting her own happiness second to those around her. We are both great communicators and are always able to talk through our problems. I brought up the destination wedding trip and details early on in the relationship so it wouldn't be a surprise, and it didn't seem to be an issue initially. Over time, her friends, who I believe were only looking out for her, expressed concern that I was going to a romantic destination wedding with someone that is not her, and that they think it is inappropriate. When she met my family, they brought up the wedding on multiple separate occasions, forgetting that she was not going, and when we reminded them of this, she was met with, "Oh, we wish you were going." Reasonably, these things got to her and built up to her being adamantly against the concept of the trip. By this I mean that she never asked me not to go, and she never asked me to let her go instead of my friend, but she said that she does not want contact with me while I am gone, and does not want to hear about the trip. She has stated that when I return, if she can forget it ever happened and move on, then we will be fine, but if she can't get past it, then our relationship is likely over. I feel like I am doing the right thing by keeping my promise, but she feels like the right thing would have been for me to realize months ago that this is inappropriate and to take her instead, even though she did not ask me to do that. Aita Reddit, there is no time to change plans. The flight is tomorrow morning and there are no more rooms in the resort. GF has no passport, so this is impossible at this point. Comments. Commenter 1. I'd say YTA, it was unreasonable of you to make such a promise to your friend. You were only considering two people's feelings, but now your girlfriend exists and is a real person with real emotions. It sounds like your family wants your girlfriend to come and not your friend. If this includes your sister, then you should concede, seeing as it's her wedding. It is strange that your friend hasn't given up the spot out of politeness, seeing as you are now in a serious relationship. I can't imagine not doing that even though you promised it to her. Your girlfriend has already expressed her discomfort with this situation, and it's not unreasonable discomfort. Why ignore her? What does it matter that she appeared to not care earlier? The wedding hasn't begun yet. Edit. Also, it will be incredibly awkward as people will assume your friend is your girlfriend. And then you will have to explain that you have a different girlfriend you didn't bring for a silly reason. It's just kind of humiliating for your girlfriend. This was also her opportunity to get to know your extended family as your partner. I think you've dropped the ball here. Commenter 2. First of all, thanks for this post. I'm planning on attending a wedding for one of my friends who lives halfway around the world. A close friend of mine who's the opposite gender has expressed interest in attending, and I as of now plan to being her as a +1, but just as a platonic friend, and this opened my mind up to potential pitfalls. Like you said, it's a lot easier to say don't worry about X when X is just X and not an actual human you're dating. It seems strange to make that promise though, as it seems obvious to me that it would be a huge source of tension as the day came. Number 3 really hit home for me though. I hope my friend would have the courtesy to at least encourage me to go with my so to a wedding should I get one. But OP should be the one to start the conversation in the first place. Commenter 3. I mean, you aren't being TA toward your friend when viewed in a vacuum, you invited her, after all. But definitely YTA toward your girlfriend. If this were just a friend, they should totally understand that a relationship partner has much higher priority for wedding invites, even if it means slightly disappointing your friend. You are putting your friend's feelings over your girlfriend's, so of course she's pissed. Bottom line is you should have never made that promise that you would take her no matter what. You created your own hell, now you're facing the consequences. Normal people would have just said want to come to this wedding in a year or so, unless something comes up. That way she wouldn't have gotten her hopes so high and you could have let her down easy. But you didn't do that. This isn't to say you can't go on trips with platonic friends while in a relationship, but you have to know the optics of taking another woman to a wedding of all things are terrible, even if you both are 100% sure nothing would happen between you. It's all about the message you are sending to your girlfriend, that she's not even a higher priority than your friends. Commenter 4. YTA, you had plenty of time to add her to the itinerary. Situations change. Commenter 5. YTA, the friend should realize that they take second place to a girlfriend and should have either relinquished the spot or, if you are serious about this girlfriend, then told your friend that the spot is no longer hers if the girlfriend wants to do. Keeping a promise on something like this is redundant. Update. For those of you saying you probably won't have a girlfriend when you get back and waiting for the edit saying your GF broke up with you, prepare to be disappointed. The wedding was a lot of fun, and we talked every day. She had a good weekend visiting a sibling and we hung out when I got back. She made me brownies and I gave her some rum cakes from the trip and we caught up and joked around. We are already planning a getaway trip for her birthday with just the two of us, so things are really looking up. Every relationship has bumps and mistakes, not everything has to be a deal breaker. Question: what is the smallest amount of money that would be life-changing for you at this moment? $3,000. I am saving up to take my girlfriend of 4 years to Amsterdam so she can fulfill her dream of seeing the Van Gogh Museum. What she doesn't know is I'm going to propose there too. I am very worried my job is going to lay off a lot of employees and I think I'll be on that train if it departs, so I'm unsure if I can afford it this summer. Update. I'm in Paris for a few days after getting engaged in Amsterdam, planned this trip half a year ago, and we're just staying in the hotel. I almost passed out in line at Muse d'Orsay this morning. Stories number 2. Aita for being mad at my husband after he let our daughter shave her head. We have a certain tradition in my family. During the summer, all children in age 10 have their hair dyed. Currently with a special dye that wears off after a few days, we dress in colorful clothes, decorate my grandparents' house, and celebrate for 3 days and 3 nights. There's cake, presents, various contests, and so on. It is a family tradition, not a matter of culture or country, and it comes from the time when one of my great-great-grandmother lost many children before they turned 10. Well, my daughter turns 10 this year, she is one of 3 children in this age. The celebration was scheduled for August 1st. Everything was going well, she was very happy. And then I went on a business trip. When I came back, my daughter had a shaved head. Honestly, I was shocked because during this time I did not receive any information or even a photo. I asked my husband what happened. He said that he and our daughter were watching some cartoon together and one of the characters had shaved her hair, so our daughter decided she wanted to shave hers too. And he agreed. That caused a lot of drama. We had a bit of an argument, and honestly, at the time, I was more concerned that he'd allowed her shave her head on such a small impulse. But the next day, my mother came in and a conversation about tradition began. You know, how to dye hair that doesn't exist. My mother suggested a wig or just painting my daughter's head, but my daughter burst into tears because she realized she would be the only 10-year-old whose hair wouldn't be dyed. She also refuses to go to the celebration now because it won't be the same. And now she's mad and my husband is furious with me, thinking the whole tradition is stupid and that it's the tradition's fault that our daughter is upset. I, on the other hand, think he was irresponsible and he should have thought about what he was doing before he started shaving her head. Yes, my husband knows about the tradition. He's been there twice. Edit. Yes, my daughter is completely bald now. As for what if one of the kids doesn't want to dye their hair? The answer is that my brother was that kid. So on the day of the celebration, he wore a rainbow wig, and no one had a problem with it. The thing is, as I've already pointed out, my daughter doesn't want wigs or head paint, she wants dyed hair. Edit 2. I've noticed that many people in the comments have a strange view of this tradition, so I want to clarify something. No, we're not talking about dead children, nor is there a cemetery-like atmosphere. Although it began with many deaths, it is a celebration of life and joy. Something like a huge birthday. That's why everyone dresses colorfully, that's why we paint ourselves and decorate our houses, and that's why children get presents. Comments. Commenter 1. NTA, it's her hair to do what she wants with, but she's 10, too young to remember stuff when she's excited or think much about consequences. Your husband should have remembered the party which is already scheduled and not that long away and asked daughter if she was sure she wanted to do it, because it wouldn't grow back in time to dye for the party, or at least ask if she wanted to wait until after the party and then if she still wanted to do it she could. Commenter 2. Yeah, this. At 10, kids don't always think ahead, they just get caught up in the moment. That's where the parent is supposed to step in and say, hey, let's hold off until after the party, and if you still want to shave it, we'll do it then. It's not about controlling her, it's about helping her avoid regrets later. Now she's upset because she feels like she ruined something she was excited about, and that could have easily been avoided. Update. So, a few things have happened since yesterday, and taking advantage of the fact that it's currently 11 a.m. in my country and I'm home alone, I'd like to share this with you. I guess I'll start by saying that many of you were right, even if you were wrong about the reasons. So 3 hours after I published my first post, my husband's sister came over to pick up my daughter. I decided to take the opportunity and ask her for help, figuring she was the perfect neutral person. My husband wasn't happy and strongly opposed it, thinking it was unnecessary to still drag this out, but I asked his sister to talk to my daughter about what had happened anyway. She, my husband's sister, currently has a mohawk, so I asked her to simply start with the hairstyles and then get to how it all started. She agreed. They returned around 11 p.m. We waited until our daughter gone to bed, then we sat down in the kitchen and started talking. Well, my husband tried to end this conversation many times, but I finally learned this. The fact is that he and our daughter watched a cartoon where a character shaves her hair. The fact is that my daughter found it interesting. But that's where the daddy started encouraging us to do it and saying it would be great part comes in. My daughter told his sister how he convinced her that it would be more fun this way and that this way she would be able to better play the character in their game. When my husband's sister left, we started arguing. I don't know if it's still obvious, but even as I write this, I'm still pissed. At first, my husband defended himself, trying to say that his sister was biased and that it was all lies, and that the idea was 100% our daughter's. But in the end, he told the truth. Yes, he convinced her to cut her hair. No, it wasn't just about stupid tradition. It's worse. You see, before the date of the celebration was set this year, August 1st, my husband wanted to go on a week-long vacation to Greece. They were supposed to start August 1st. So yes, my brilliant husband shaved our daughter's head to get back at me for taking away his vacation. He thought that this way we would avoid reuniting with my family, or at least I would feel what he felt. Yes, I too don't know whether to laugh or cry. It ended with me sleeping on the couch, him taking the bedroom, and going to work in the morning. Now our daughter is currently with my parents while I consider my next move. I don't want arguing again, but I'm certainly not going to leave it like that. Edit. Okay, I appreciate all the comments, and as I wrote, our daughter is currently staying with my parents. That said, when I took her to them we talked. The good news is that we joked a bit about the fact that at least now we don't have to comb her hair. The atmosphere was better than in recent days. Together we found some positives in this whole situation, and using your advice, I also decided to assure her that she still looks wonderful and that nothing that happened was her fault or I'm not mad at her. Unfortunately, the bad news is that she is still sad. She said she still wanted to have her hair dyed and that she's already starting to miss plate. Comments. Commenter 1. Your husband used your daughter to get back at you. Girl, run for both of you. Commenter 2. Seriously, that level of pettiness at your own kid's expense is a huge red flag. Poor kid doesn't deserve to be caught in the middle. Commenter 3. I'd be in jail. You mess with my kid just to spite me. That's not petty, that's straight up cruel. I don't care if it's just hair, that's a fucking innocent child, not an emotional punching bag. Commenter 4. Can you ever trust your husband alone with your daughter again? He used her to punish you. Think about that. Now she's upset because she was too young to understand the results of shaving her head. Your husband is disgusting. Reply. Oh, I'm definitely thinking about it. I'm going to pack up some of our daughter's things and take them to my parents' house. I won't let her be around him until this whole thing calms down. Commenter 5. What on earth? He was getting back as to you. Has he behaved this way before? Will he do it again in my worry? How far would he go? I'm not sure what you can do about your daughter's hair. Is there a singer or actress she likes that wears wigs to change her hair? If so, maybe show her to encourage her to try. Reply. You see, the strangest thing is that I can't recall a single situation where he was this extreme. Did we ever argue or disagree on something? Sure. But he never used our daughter against me or became like that. It usually went normal, a small argument, followed by an apology and a normal conversation. Literally, just a few days ago, I would have called him a good father and husband. Commenter 6. More like he's been playing the long game, waiting for his chance to get his revenge on you for all the years of those celebrations. I think his mask has slipped. Using your child as a pawn in an adult argument is reprehensible. Reply. It would be even more crazy considering that we have only been to 2 celebrations together so far. They don't happen every year. Stories number 3. Aita my sil kept bringing up the statistics of men leaving their sick wives, and this is how I responded. I have been struggling with a medical condition, without revealing too much info, for over 2 months. My husband, M, is my primary caregiver. He wakes up 5 a.m., cleans up, prepares breakfast, then lunch for later, then he goes to work, then he gets off work and immediately comes home, cooks dinner, gets more stuff done around the house and repeat. He does most of the work around and outside the house, plus he is the breadwinner. My brother's wife, kept talking about how men leave their wives when they get sick. She'd comment things like, have you noticed any changes in his behavior? Or when was the last time you searched his phone, basically implying that my husband is one of those men even though she knows and she saw how much effort he makes to help out and support me. She'd even bring up statistics. She did it once in front of my husband, to which he responded with silence, but she kept staring at him as if she was waiting for him to react. I told her that this made me and my husband uncomfortable and that she needed to stop. Days ago, my husband was working late and couldn't prepare dinner. I can't cook for medical reasons. My brother and Sil was visiting, so I ordered takeout. Sil kept making passive comments implying that my husband was probably starting to get tired of taking care of me. I couldn't take it anymore, especially after she brought up the statistics again. I snapped and told her that since she was at it, then she should check the statistics of men who leave their wives for not being able to get pregnant. She went pale and my brother blew up at me asking what was wrong with me. She began crying, then went outside. My brother started a huge argument saying I was a monster for saying such a terrible thing to someone who cannot have children. He even had my husband leave work and come home. I couldn't argue much because I felt nauseous. They left eventually and got the rest of the family involved. My brother, Sil, and her mother are wanting an apology. My mom and my husband said I shouldn't have escalated the situation. I understand that infertility is hard on her, but I feel like she was being deliberately hurtful to me, so now I want to know if I'm at fault here. Stories number 4. Aita for Ubering home and ruining my fiancé's family weekend. Hi everyone, first time posting. This happened a few hours ago and I need some perspective. I'm 30M, engaged to my fiancé, 29F. We've been together 2 years, just bought a house, and got engaged. We're both Indian American, raised with strict values, but pretty modern now. She has a tough job working with trafficked girls and I try to support her in every way I can. We argue occasionally but always talk things through, never go to bed angry. Her mom and sister have been cold and borderline toxic. They've seen abusive men in their lives and keep projecting that onto me with passive-aggressive comments like, "We don't know if you'll end up hurting her." Her mom especially. When my mom praised my fiancé, she literally got up and walked away. She never congratulated her on our house, engagement, or even her master's degree. My fiancé ends up crying after holidays with them, while my family showers her with love and support. Her biggest trigger is cleaning. I handle dishes, laundry, garbage, and cat litter, but she needs the house spotless all the time. Cleaning is her way of feeling in control, but it overwhelms me. I suggested chore lists, but even when I take initiative, she'll get upset if it's not done her way. Last week we had a religious house blessing. I left work early to help, but she was still on edge. I made a joke about her inspecting the bedroom after I changed, and she laughed, but the tension stayed. I went for a haircut to decompress. When I came back cheerful and tried to kiss her, she told me to shower. Then followed me upstairs and said, "Don't make a mess." I snapped and told her to get out of the bathroom. We didn't speak. Later, she said she wants more love and intimacy. I said it's hard when the vibe is always stress. I said, "What happens when we have kids?" which she took as me wanting to break up. I didn't clarify or comfort her. I shut down. During the blessing, she started crying. Her sister yelled, "What's wrong with my sister?" And her mom glared at me. My fiancé shrugged off my attempts to comfort her. It felt like everyone thought I was abusing her. Later, she explained the fight was about cleaning, and they apologized to me, but it was humiliating. She said we were going to her families. I didn't want to but agreed to keep the peace. On the drive, she brought up my mom being smothering. I agreed, but reminded her that her mom is the opposite, cold and unaffectionate. Just blocks from her mom's house, her sister called and said, "Are you okay?" like I was doing something to her. That broke me. I started crying. First time she's ever seen that. I asked her to pull over, got out, and took an Uber home. She called, crying, asking me to come back. Her mom called too. I ignored it. I love her. She's incredible. But when she's upset, it takes over everything. I try to stay positive and calm for her, but that day, I cracked. Am I the asshole for walking away? For possibly ruining the weekend? Stories number 5. Aita for going to work for a few days to teach my husband a lesson. Okay, I get the title sounds horrible. But, hear me out. I have a 12-year-old son and a 13-month-old. Before the pandemic I worked part-time, went to school part-time and took care of the house kids when not doing the other two. Since the pandemic I became a stay-at-home mom still going to school, taking care of the house kids. But now with school back in session and my son doing e-learning, I also help a lot with that. I have a pretty strict schedule that I keep for myself to allow me to get household chores and the schooling for my son and myself done each day. One day last week, I had a migraine, nothing I did helped ease it. At some point after 3 p.m., after my son was out of school and baby was down for a nap, I laid on the couch to try and help the migraine. Which did help. My husband came home while I was sleeping, and was already in a crap mood and yelled at me that I didn't do anything all day except sleep, eat and get fat. I tried to explain to him I hadn't been feeling well and napped because of that. He said that was an excuse and how would I like it if I went to work all day and he was home with the children and I came in and he was asleep on the couch. I said, I would assume you were tired or not feeling well. Husband took a few days off work. I made arrangements with a friend to do temp work with her. I went to work for a few days, leaving him my daily schedule as a guide. The first day he called me 20 times because he couldn't handle my son's schoolwork, couldn't handle taking care of the baby, couldn't even go to the bathroom without one of them needing something. The second day, he called me 10 times with the same complaints. Both days he was asleep on the couch because he was exhausted from trying to keep up with the kids and housework. I went to work the third day, he showed up with the kids and dropped them off without saying anything to me or my friend. Luckily, my friend didn't mind. When I got home the third evening, he was asleep on the couch. I let him sleep. I mowed the grass, pulled weeds, cleaned up the house, made dinner. I tried to wake him for dinner, he refused to wake up, got the kids bathed and ready for bed before he woke up. Husband barely did the minimum of caring for the house and kids while I worked. He said I did it to make him look like a shit parent. I said no, I did it to teach you a lesson, that just because you don't see me actively doing something when you come home doesn't mean I haven't done anything all day. This all started because you refused to let me tell you I had a migraine and was just barely able to function that day. Luckily oldest knows what he needs to do for school work, just sometimes needs some help with it. Baby is up at 7 but goes down for nap at 12 for a nap. He sleeps 3 to 4 hours. Aita for trying to get husband to see what I do on a daily basis. Top comments. Commenter 1, NTA. Husband barely did the minimum of caring for the house and kids while I worked. He said I did it to make him look like a shit parent. No, I didn't do it to make you look like a shit parent, I did it to show you you were being a shitty person to me. But apparently I'm not done, if you still haven't learned the lesson. Commenter 2, NTA. You husband needs to learn to appreciate what you do. He's being manipulative to get out of taking responsibility as a parent, and is putting you down unnecessarily when you already have a huge load when it comes to your kids. To have the audacity to show up to your work because he doesn't want to deal with the kids anymore is a bundle of red flags on its own. Commenter 3, NTA. You're in an emotionally abusive marriage. He has no right to call you fat. Also, you didn't do it to make him look like a shit parent, he is a shit parent because he couldn't do it. Get rid of him, be happy. You seem to be more than capable of doing everything yourself anyway. Enjoy the alimony and child support payments his shit face will have to pay. Commenter 4, NTA. You didn't do it to make him look like a shit parent. He's chosen to be a shit parent and husband and you forced him to at least slightly understand that. The question is, what do you do now? Because spending the rest of your life with someone who treats you this way is not the answer. Update. In the days that followed that post, I read the comments and messages from everyone here. Seriously, thank you guys, gave me a ton to think about. I told my husband that I wanted to separate, not a divorce, as I wanted to try therapy before making that decision. That I didn't feel like he appreciated what I do every single day. I also said that he needed to get into therapy if he wanted to have a chance to save our marriage. We could go together or separately. But, I already had an appointment set for myself. The kids and I are staying with a friend who I do pay some rent to. As well as I clean up and help her in her little shop when she needs it. I have the kids the majority of the time. While he's at work the kids are with me. 3 nights a week the kids will go with him, usually Thursday, Friday and Saturday nights depending on his work schedule. We have been to 2 virtual therapy sessions with a marriage counselor. He is also seeing a counselor on his own, as am I. In the week since the post, I have seen a difference in how my husband speaks and acts towards me. Whether it stays is another matter. He wasn't always the angry, ungrateful man that was portrayed in my previous post. There was a time when he actually showed he appreciated the things I did and would never say hurtful things to me. I'm not sure when it all began to change and when I began to believe it was okay, the things he said and how he acted. We both have a long road to get back to normal. I do hope it's with him. But, I'll be okay if it's not. I do love my husband and I want to go home to him. A few mutual friends that know the full story of what's going on with husband and I, texted me to tell me they have noticed a change in his behavior as well. One pointed out that he's not drinking like he used to. But he's not wanting to go home either. According to this friend, my husband complains that it's too quiet at home. That it doesn't feel like home. Top comments. Commenter 1, I remember your post from weeks back, and you are a better person than I would have been. While you are the wronged party, you are still acting as the bigger person as you continue to work and take the bulk of the childcare duties. And you didn't displace him. With all your efforts, I'm glad to hear that he realizes that even when he is feeling the effects of the best possible scenario of a divorce, that he realizes he still isn't happy. It does sound like you had the raw end of the deal for a long time, and I'm sure the change in routines that COVID caused didn't make life easier for either of you. So I'm glad to hear that therapy is working and really hoping he won't take you for granted anymore, no matter what you decide to do. You're my idol. Good luck and keep us posted. Commenter 2, you are rebuilding the boundaries this man once completely trampled on. Good for you and also good for him for attempting to change his behavior. I hope that he does come around. However, if he doesn't, please keep protecting your boundaries. As the mother of his children, you do not deserve to be disrespected, especially all that you do. I wish you guys the best. Commenter 3, good for you. Hopefully this will show him to not take you and your super mom skills for granted anymore. I hope that this stays, and you can go back to a happy marriage, and that you spoke to the attorney just in case anything went south. Stories number 6. My 24F, BF, 27M, booked our tickets for a different day. I'm tired, frustrated and contemplating breaking up with him. What would you do in my place? I 24F have been dating my boyfriend, 27M, for 2 years long distance. We don't live together, but due to our demanding jobs we try to see each other at least 3x month. Overall I can say many positive things about our relationship, however things took a turn a few weeks ago and I can't seem to forgive him. For context, I'm very much a type A person, I need everything planned and to be in order. However, since I'm always planning things, with friends, BF or at work, I get worn down pretty quickly and it takes a toll on my mood. He on the other hand is very laid back and goes through life with an it is what it is attitude. So naturally, it has always been me who's been planning activities, booking places to stay, sightseeing and holiday all throughout our relationship. A year ago, BF got me tickets for my favorite artist and I've been excited ever since. I still had to book transportation, hotel and plan activities though, but I didn't mind as long as we could get to see the artist in time. Spoiler alert, we missed the concert because BF booked the tickets for a different day and we couldn't get a refund. Safe to say, I've never been more disappointed in my life. I still feel physically, emotionally and financially drained, and that I can't rely on him. I decided we needed to go on a break and I've been talking with my friends and my therapist about what to do. My therapist said that I'm processing it as a betrayal and a breach of trust. My friends are telling me it's up to me if I want to continue the relationship, but if they were in my shoes, they couldn't trust him with anything ever again. I understand that it's a mistake anyone could have made and in the end it's not that serious. He has apologized about 1,000,000 times and feels very sorry about how he let me down. But at the same time, all this pent-up frustration that's inside me keeps reminding me he had one job and still managed to ruin the experience for me. Of course, not everything is black and white. Besides this character flaw, he is a very good boyfriend, kind, funny, and we have the same opinions on politics, human rights etc. Basically all the serious life stuff. I can't seem to get over this mistake though. We were planning on getting married and spending the rest of our lives together, yet I don't want to end up being the only one pulling the weight. Advice would be greatly appreciated. TLDR, I always plan every activity, BF had one job of buying tickets and messed it up. I'm tired and I feel alone, I don't know what to do. Edit, there seems to be some confusion regarding booking and tickets, there were 2 concerts, one was happening on the 31st and second was on the 1st, BF told me we had tickets for the second concert, so I booked everything in accordance to that. Then on the 1st he realized we had tickets for the 31st, so the day after we were supposed to attend the concert. Also, only he had access to the tickets. Hope that clears it up a bit. Edit 2, so far I've seen people form 3 stances in the comments, break up with him or I will have to manage him for the rest of my life, give him a chance with a set of boundaries or I'm actually neurotic and he should break up with me. I've done some introspection and considering all the facts, uneven mental load, distance, how long we'd still be apart, my reaction, I've drafted a message explaining how I felt, highlighting how much I still care about him. I've also written a few questions to ask him about the future of our relationship. He probably thought a lot about our relationship as well, and if he doesn't want to be with me, I'm not going to force him. I'll ask him probably next week, not sure if anyone wants an update on that though. Overall this situation has saddened me and I feel extremely uncertain about my future. Thank you to all kind Redditors who actually offered great advice. Update. For those who want the longer version with a bit of recap of the entire situation, I omitted a lot of details and lied about our personal lives, just so I could get truly unbiased opinions. To tell the truth, I'm a med student, got into med school a bit later because well, life happened. He's just finished law school. At the time of the concert, I had to study for my anatomy final and could not have any distractions, but I told myself that the concert would be a treat to myself during this tough time period. We had arrived at his friend's place where we'd be staying, and TBH, I've never felt so unwelcomed and out of place in my entire life. Me, my BF, let's call him Jim, his friend Jane and her BF John decided to go to a restaurant in the evening, and Jane basically didn't acknowledge me for the entire evening. Every time Jim had to leave the table, Jane would turn to John and pretended I wasn't there. I then heard her say that after dinner, she'd like to go get something cheap and sweet to eat, to which I proposed a certain shop in the city we were in. Jane replied that it smelled there. After asking her how did the shop smell, she looked me in the eyes, laughed and said it smelled like poor people. When Jim returned, I took him aside and told him what Jane has said to me, to which he just laughed. For the rest of the evening it was clear I was sticking out from the group, because the conversation topics were about things I had no knowledge about, so I couldn't participate in them. So I sat in silence until we came back to Jane's flat. I then cried in the shower. I felt completely useless, like the evening would have gone exactly the same whether I was there or not. The next day, the ticket incident happened. Jim checked the tickets and realized he booked them for the day before. I tried to get the tickets and was contacted by a scammer, and got scammed circa €80, already talked to police but they put the investigation on hold. During this time, Jim kept repeating how stupid he was and that he would fix everything, just didn't know how. The artist won't come to our country anytime soon BTW. Jim also never said how he would prevent similar mistakes from happening again. After that, I didn't speak to him for almost 2 weeks and took to Reddit. In the end, I decided to give him one last chance, and said probably both of us should work on our communication. He said he didn't expect me to give him another chance, didn't know how to react, so he thought it over for 12+ hours and didn't contact me. During this time, I kind of emotionally accepted he didn't want to be with me anymore. The next day Jim agreed to give it another try, but the excuses started. He kept telling me he would be jobless during the summer, money would be tight, we wouldn't be able to travel anywhere, that I should enjoy my summer etc. To me, it sounded like he wanted an out, but didn't want to be the bad guy and proposed the breakup. Come to find out, he wasn't as broke as he was telling me, because he attended a film and music festival. Doing the math, he probably spent around €300. So I messaged him that I'm tired, he didn't even say sorry after Jane insulted me, and I didn't see him making any effort in planning our future and owning up to his mistakes. We wished each other well, we would be open to communication if we ever crossed paths again, and I now feel like somebody close to me died. Rationally I know I did the right thing, but I've never broken up with anyone amicably before, and grieving this relationship is extremely hard on me. Stories number 7. Relationship trouble due to female friendship. I've, 30M, been dating my girlfriend, 30F, for 9 months, and I am fully in love with her. We've talked about marriage and family soon and she's the one for me. However, we are having major issues over female friendships I have. I've traveled a lot and have a lot of different friends, male and female, from different portions of my life. Since high school, I have been best friends with a girl Emma. We have never had any romantic interest on either side, and went to the same college, worked at the same job for a while, and stayed very close, would help each other with relationship advice, etc. I also become close, platonic friends, same thing, no romantic interest either side, with a girl Anna in college, and we stayed friends, traveled together, etc. in our 20s. When my girlfriend and I started our relationship, in the first couple weeks she got upset about Instagram comments Anna made on a post of mine, and didn't believe me that our relationship was platonic. I stopped really responding to Anna out of respect for this and basically ended our friendship, which I regret. Due to this, I was scared to tell my girlfriend that I had a best friend in Emma, so I didn't. This was a major mistake by me, I should have been open from the start and really regret this. A couple months ago, my girlfriend saw texts from Emma and asked who she was, etc., and got really upset, justifiably, that I had a close female friend I hadn't told her about. The texts were Emma asking when I was free to give her a call back, and my girlfriend took this as us going behind her back. She assumed since I hadn't told her, I was being shady with Emma pursuing a romantic relationship. She gave me an ultimatum that I had to cut off Emma, block her on everything, etc., or our relationship was over. To save the relationship, I did this, and thought I could move forward. However, I have now become resentful of my girlfriend, especially because she has a male best friend and has other male friends as well. She was open about these friendships from the beginning, which was my mistake in not doing the same. I never used to be jealous of this and I trust her, but I have become resentful that she can have these male friendships and I can't have female friendships. She has been treated poorly in past relationships and been hurt and cheated on, so I understand her perspective, and I really wish I didn't cause this problem by not being upfront. I am struggling to get over my jealousy and resentment. I feel very guilty for just cutting Emma off like that. She used to really rely on me for advice and friendship. TLDR, my girlfriend gave me an ultimatum to cut off my female best friend after I fucked up and wasn't open about her from the beginning, and I now feel guilty and resentful. Do I just need to get over this? Any advice? I really love my girlfriend so much and want to find a way to make it work. Thank you. Comments. Commenter 1. This is a fundamental incompatibility. If somebody being with you is contingent on you cutting off all your female friends, including your best friend who you've only ever been platonic with, that's not the right person to spend your life with. You fucked up by not making it known early on that you have female friends who are really important to you and who you want to keep in your life, and by not breaking up when it became clear that this would be a problem for her. I do not think there is any way to talk your way out of the current situation because hiding Emma was a super shady thing to do. You have to look at what happened and realize that you subconsciously knew you two were not compatible and were scared of facing that reality. Track me. Reply, thanks for your input, really appreciate it. Commenter 2. So were the texts from Anna flirty? If so, have you and Anna been a FWB? Reply, neither Emma or Anna and I have ever been FWB or anything romantic or sexual at all, no. The texts were not flirty, they were asking when I was free for a call, which my girlfriend took as us going behind her back. If I had been upfront about having this friend, the texts wouldn't have been an issue. Update. I previously posted about my girlfriend getting really mad at me about my female friendships and making me cut my best friends off. I recently went through her texts for the first time since we started dating 9 months ago and found that she has consistently been texting this guy, 30M, that she had told me was just a friend. She says they've only hooked up once, well before we started dating, and the texts back this up, but they have had sexual flirty texts going for months and she sent one nude. I am crushed. She is extremely apologetic, swears she is going to change, she sent a text cutting the guy off, says she is willing to go to therapy, will do anything to keep me. She said she was projecting her insecurities on me about my friends, and says I can have my friends back, etc. I've texted my friends who I cut off but they, very understandable, have not responded. She says she will do anything for a second chance. I do love her so much still, but if I am crazy for putting up with stuff like this and giving her another chance. TLDR, my girlfriend has been sexting a friend for months and wants a second chance. Comments. Commenter 1. Yes, you would be crazy for giving this woman another chance. Commenter 2. Therapy in a relationship of 9 fucking months, every one of which she has been cheating on you. It's a joke, right? Commenter 3. Especially at that age, my eyes have rolled back so far I can see my brain. Commenter 4. Right, I'm confused why he's confused at what to do. She forced him to cut off friends while she was sexting. Seems like an easy choice here. Stories number 8. My mom wants to invite my ex whom I cheated on in my wedding, and my fiancé is absolutely furious. Help. I 28M was a terrible person in past, which I have moved on from. Used to drink a lot and had cheated on my ex 27F countless times in our 3-year relationship, how she was stuck with me for so long. So one day, she found out I was cheating again and broke things up, which I don't blame her for. I was cut off by my family, which was heartbreaking. I eventually improved myself, got in therapy, and eventually apologized and reconciled with my family. I found out my mother and my ex were still in contact, which I didn't mind, they were close even when I was with her. My family invites my ex to family gatherings as her family is, let's say, not that good, which I again don't care, we both are civil and don't interact much. Eventually I met a new girl 28F, and 1 year later, I am engaged to her, yeah, and she knows how I was in the past as I had told her, we are planning wedding to host only close friends and family. Then problem arrives that my mother who's close with my ex wants to invite her to the wedding and my fiancé is absolutely furious, and the reason my mother's giving is that it's a family event. Honestly, I don't want her to be in my wedding too. I called her to talk about it and she told me the same damn thing, she doesn't want to be in my wedding but my mother's insisting, which is infuriating. My mother is still saying she won't come if my ex isn't coming and my fiancé had arguments with her. I am seriously thinking of not inviting her ATP, but if she doesn't come, I am afraid that I might be cut off from my family again. This is so infuriating. Relevant comments. Does OOP's mother think he hasn't changed since the breakup, or did he moved on too quickly? Reply. When I was 22 I broke up with my ex. I think 6 years is a lot of time to change, right? Commenter 1. It's your wedding, not your mum's wedding. Tell your mum outright, she doesn't want to come, I don't want her to come, fiancé doesn't want her to come. Stop being weird about it and let it go. Do not invite her. It is a weird entitlement when parents dictate guest lists anyway, unless they are paying, they get no say. If they are paying, you have the right to draw boundaries. Good luck. If your mum is that hung up on it, maybe you have to let her go too. Commenter 2. NTA. Your mother appears to be either hell-bent on punishing you for the rest of your life, by making you interact with your ex on every occasion she can, or she's so emotionally enmeshed with your ex, she's willing to lose a son, a dial in contact with any children you may have in the future over this. Time to point out to her that it's not just you she is upsetting, it's your fiancé, and that there may be long-term consequences to this. In the final analysis, who do you want a relationship with, your fiancé or your family? And in terms of the family, make quite sure you get the message out there to the rest of the family that you are not disinviting your mother, but that her insistence on bringing your ex to your wedding is causing a great deal of distress and hurt to your fiancé, and that, as her husband, you must support her, especially at her wedding. Update: honestly, I got overwhelmed with the responses. Thank you everyone who replied. As most of you said, I grew a spine and talked to my mother with me and my fiancé sitting down. She wouldn't drop it, saying she doesn't like my fiancé. Well, my fiancé yelled at her. So she's not coming to my wedding anymore. I sent all wedding guests explaining the situation, that my mother wants to invite my ex to my wedding, and basically, most of them are in my side. Those who said I am ungrateful, let's just say they are uninvited and blocked. My brother 34M called me to say that I did the right thing, which was a relief. Going further, I would probably go low contact with my mother. My ex called me and my fiancé talked to her on speaker, and she apologized and said she said no to my mother and won't drop it. I said okay, and OFC she's not invited. My father said he's not coming too if his wife is not coming, which is like valid. So the wedding is actually small with 50 people. But the planned reception is huge with 150 people, which my father is throwing on my behalf. My mother will be there, so there might be drama. Edit: should have added that my father and father-in-law both are throwing reception together. I will have security just in case in the wedding. TLDR, my mother wanted to invite my ex, whom I had cheated on, to my wedding. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, I'm glad you put your foot down. Since your father is hosting for the reception, are you sure he won't cancel it from being pressured by your mother? Do you have a backup plan just in case? Reply: father said mother won't do anything stupid at reception and ex is not invited in reception. Commenter 2, so your dad's not going to go to his own son's wedding because his wife is a. But will go to the reception looking like a loser who didn't go to his own son's wedding. Got it. Reply: my brothers don't have close relation with dad, tbh I am the favorite child who was spoiled rotten by him, that was the reason I was terrible in the past. Commenter 3, I wouldn't stop with security, put passwords on everything, flowers, cake, catering, venue, the whole thing. She is nuts enough to do something as equaling stupid as inviting your ex, lol. Reply: we'll make sure. Who are hosting the reception? Reply: it's my father and father-in-law both throwing the reception together. Commenter 4, all of this could have been avoided. You and the ex agreed to fake her coming, then simply call out sick on the day of. Reply: my mother's the type of person to throw a fit in between wedding. The only reason my father's allowing her to come to reception is because she has now promised to remain shut. Update: mother and father aren't coming to reception too. So I had a talk with FIL and fiancé about the situation of all, and my FIL will alone cover the cost of reception. I offered some money to him, but he refused, saying I am like his son, which made me tear up. And my father and FIL had a shouting match on phone about it, so father and mother aren't coming to reception anymore. Fiancé is happy and I am happy that our wedding and reception area going to be drama-free. We will definitely have security there, but it's gonna be hard explaining everyone what happened. Many people are gonna bail out of the wedding. I haven't talked to them since, and will probably contact father after wedding and reception are over. Last night, I am gonna be honest, I cried like a baby saying that my mother and father aren't gonna be there, but my fiancé comforted me. Probably the most amazing woman I met, can't wait to spend my life with her, and I failed my PhD exam lol. Results came few hours ago, gonna try afterwards IG. Going forward I am probably gonna be low contact with father and no contact with mother. Top comments. Commenter 1, man, life's throwing some wild curveballs at you. Keep your chin up. Remember, at the end of the day it's about you and your amazing fiancé. Wishing you both a drama-free and lovely day. Commenter 2, OP, give yourself grace regarding the PhD exam. You've been under a huge amount of stress caused by your mother. For those who bail, just know they never had your best interests at heart. But it sounds like your FIL does, and you're marrying into a strong family who's got your back. Work to build your relationship with him. I agree, going NC with your mother is the right thing to do. She needs to take some time and think about her actions and how she's treated you and your fiancé. You might want to go NC with your dad for a while too, until well after the wedding and you're getting settled and have finished your PhD. Take care of yourself, OP. Update: I am married now and she's the most wonderful woman I could have gotten. So yesterday I got married. It was the happiest day of my life. But yeah, it sucked not having my parents there, whom I thought wouldn't go this much against me. They didn't even come to the reception too. It honestly cried after the reception, but my fiancé was understanding and comforted me. I couldn't have asked for a better half than her. My ex had sent a message of congratulations after wedding, which I replied with thanks. After wedding I still haven't contacted my parents, but father had sent an air fryer as a wedding gift to my address, which is like an appliance, so gonna use it. Reception was awesome too, thanks to y'all for those wonderful comments supporting and suggesting me. I honestly thought I don't deserve all this due to how terrible I was in the past. But people can change. If you have done something wrong in past, don't let it define yourself, keep it in your mind and move on, you can change. TLDR, few weeks ago my mom wanted to invite my ex to the wedding whom I had cheated on years ago. She disrespected my fiancé, so I had uninvited her and my father had also refused to come. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, I will say, glad you had a great wedding and reception. If inviting the ex was a point of contention, why respond to her text? Why isn't she blocked? Reply, it was due to the mother problem, mom was nagging her too, it was just for communication plus I am just gonna delete her number and not gonna contact anymore. Commenter 2, return the air fryer, don't respond, don't do anything but don't open it or use tin. Reply, it's a petty piece apology form, gonna use it and not respond, don't have an air fryer so it's gonna work IG. Commenter 3, did your ex mention taking a step back from your mom and family? I can't imagine feeling comfortable hanging out with a woman who was pushing me to do something I was uncomfortable with, the people the event actually mattered to were uncomfortable with, and then her having such a big meltdown that she misses her child's wedding because of something I didn't want to do in the first place. No one was comfortable with this except your mother apparently. It would really open my eyes to how it's time to start distancing myself from such an unhealthy attachment that doesn't benefit anyone anymore. Reply, my brother did told me that mom is complaining about ex not picking up the calls though. Stories number 9. Aita for not covering my tattoos at a family barbecue after my uncle told me I was being inappropriate. Growing up, I was always the quiet one in the family. The one who colored outside the lines, sure, but quietly. I never really made waves. I did well in school, I kept to myself, I never caused drama at family events. But apparently, being a 26-year-old woman with a few visible tattoos is where some of my relatives draw the line. Last weekend, we had one of those classic summer BBQs at my grandparents' house. It's something we do every year, and it's usually one of the few times the whole extended family gets together, uncles, cousins, people I only recognize because of Facebook. It was one of those brutally hot days, 90-something degrees, sun glaring off the grill, kids playing in sprinklers, aunties fanning themselves with paper plates. So I wore what any sane person would wear in that weather, denim shorts and a black crop top. Nothing see-through, nothing tight. Just comfy, practical summer clothes. My tattoos were showing, one on my thigh, one on my calf, and a small 1997 on my stomach. They're not offensive, not political, just art. Honestly, my family has seen them before. I've had them for years. Nobody has ever made a big deal out of it. But about halfway through the day, my uncle, my dad's older brother, calls me over. I thought he wanted to help with drinks or maybe needed me to move my car. Nope. He pulls me aside, lowers his voice, and says something like, "Don't you think you should have put a little more thought into what you wore today?" I blinked. What? He said, "With all the kids running around, it's not really appropriate to show off all those tattoos. You're setting a bad example." I laughed, honestly, because I thought he was kidding. Like, it sounded so absurd. But he wasn't. His face was dead serious. He told me I should go put something else on, that it wasn't respectful, and that I was making it about myself. I just stood there stunned for a second like, what? It's 90 degrees. You want me to go wear jeans and a hoodie because I have tattoos? I told him no. Politely, but firmly. I said, I'm not going to overheat just because some ink makes you uncomfortable. I wasn't yelling, I wasn't causing a scene. I was calm. He just shook his head, muttered something about today's youth, and walked off. After that, he barely said a word to me the rest of the day. But the real kicker. Later that evening, my dad pulled me aside and said I should have just put on a t-shirt to avoid the drama. That I was escalating things and making everything a battle. That hurt, because to me, it wasn't about making a battle. I was literally just wearing shorts and a crop top like half the people there. No one said anything to my younger cousin who wore a tank top and short shorts. No one cared about any of the guys walking around shirtless. But somehow my tattoos were inappropriate, so now I'm just stuck wondering, did I do something wrong? Was I really the one making it a big deal? Or was it just easier for them to tell me to change than to tell him he was being ridiculous? Update. So, I didn't plan to say anything more about the barbecue situation, but something happened last night that just reopened the wound. After that day, I mostly tried to let it go. I distanced myself from the group chats, didn't join the weekly Sunday dinners, and figured maybe some space would do everyone some good. I wasn't angry, I was just tired. Tired of always being the issue for simply existing differently than they wanted. Then last night, I got a text from my cousin Sarah. She said, "Hey, just so you know, Uncle Rick was talking about you at dinner. Said you pulled a stunt at the barbecue and embarrassed him in front of everyone." Embarrassed him? This man pulled me aside, told me I was inappropriate, tried to shame me in front of my family, and he was the one embarrassed. It gets worse. Apparently, he told everyone I was trying to draw attention and wanted the kids to ask about tattoos so I could spread some agenda. Let me be clear, the only agenda I have is staying cool in the heat and eating my weight in potato salad. When Sarah told me all that, I just sat there rereading the message over and over. It felt like a betrayal I wasn't prepared for. Like, not only did he come at me privately, but now he's rewriting the narrative to make himself look like the victim. So I texted my dad. I said, "You knew Uncle Rick was saying all that? Did you defend me?" He left me on read. It's been 14 hours nothing. I guess I'm realizing that the silence from the rest of the family wasn't neutrality, it was compliance. They're comfortable letting me take the fall if it keeps the peace. It's easier to ask me to change than to call out the uncle with the loudest voice. I used to think I was the black sheep because I looked different or thought differently. But maybe I'm the black sheep because I refuse to accept that this is how love is supposed to work, conditionally. And I think I'm done shrinking to fit into their comfort zones. Update 2. I wasn't planning on going to the next family event, but my grandma called me the other day, just her sweet, cracking voice saying, "I miss you, honey. Come by Sunday. Just you and me, if that makes it easier." And I melted, so I went. When I got there, it was just us at first, and it felt normal. Warm, she made tea and those little almond cookies I loved as a kid. But maybe 30 minutes in, Uncle Rick showed up. I could tell he wasn't expecting me. His face tightened when he saw me on the porch. He didn't say hi, just muttered something about needing to drop off tools. I didn't say anything at first. But my grandmother, God bless her, looked right at him and said, "If you have something to say to my granddaughter, say it." Silence, then he said it. "I just think there's a time and place for certain things. And you knew what kind of family we are." I stood up. My voice was shaking, but I said, "What kind of family is that, exactly?" "The kind where women have to hide their skin to make the men comfortable." He scoffed. "Don't twist it. This isn't about comfort. It's about respect." I nodded. "Right. Respect. The kind where you call me an attention seeker behind my back, say I'm corrupting kids with tattoos that mean nothing more than memories and art. That kind of respect." He didn't respond. Just picked up his tool bag and left. My grandma sighed and took my hand. She said, "He's always had control issues. He doesn't speak for all of us." And for the first time, I really believed that. Because the next day, my cousin Sarah and my other cousin Ben both messaged me, saying they were sorry for not speaking up. That they saw how he acted and wished they'd done something then. Maybe this is how healing starts, not with big family apologies or dramatic scenes, but with a couple of quiet truths and people finally saying, "We see you. And we were wrong to be silent." I still don't know where I stand with the rest of my family. But I do know I'm done being the one who always has to bend. If my tattoos are enough to shake the foundation of our family, maybe it wasn't that strong to begin with. TLDR. After my uncle scolded me at a family barbecue for showing my tattoos, I found out he'd been talking behind my back. My dad stayed silent. Eventually, I confronted him during a visit to my grandma's, where he doubled down. But to my surprise, my grandma stood up for me, and later, my cousins reached out to apologize for staying quiet. I'm not sure where my family stands now, but I'm finally standing firm in who I am. Stories number 10. Aita for calling my coworker creepy and gross and getting him in trouble. So I'm 23F and I started this job a few months ago. I'm the only woman in our department of about 30 people. This one guy, 50s male, has been telling me about all the younger women he's slept with and making insinuations towards me. He kept telling me how he pleasures women. I tried to be nice and ignore it. I tried saying I wasn't interested and he just kept going. Finally I lost my patience and snapped at him. I told him he was creepy and gross and that I was never going to be interested in some old man 30 years my senior. Management overheard and pulled me aside to find out what happened. I told them about his comments to me and he was written up for sexual harassment. This is his second write-up. The first was for injuring someone. He's been at this job a lot longer than me and now half the department is angry with me because he is about to be fired and they think it's my fault and the other half are on my side. They said I didn't have to be such a bitch about it and that he's like that with girls he finds attractive and I should be flattered and I shouldn't have yelled at him because now management is involved. Work is really uncomfortable now because half of our department doesn't want to work with me. ETA, they're also pissed that all of us have to go to sensitivity training now. Thank you for all the support. I am going to keep in mind what everyone is saying and I won't tolerate being bullied. Just as a clarification, Mr. Creep's first write-up was for injuring someone. He was pushing a large server enclosure too fast and not watching where he was going and ran over someone, injuring them. Update, so people know the time frame here. This happened Monday. The case went up to legal. I had a meeting with the department head about this and told him about the retaliation. He addressed the department. Mr. Creep was told not to return Monday. Legal and HR came back with the decision to fire him. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. NTA, congratulations, you stood up for yourself and refused to tolerate sexual harassment. You should be proud of yourself. And shame on your coworkers who actually said you should just tolerate it and feel flattered. What are they, living in 1950? Reply. They're also pissed that all of us have to go to sensitivity training now. Commenter 2. And they should go to sensitivity training. It sounds like you are surrounded by a bunch of men who are used to treating women poorly, and resent being called out on it. Again, congratulations for standing up for yourself. And do not let these other men bully you, and if they do, report their asses too. Commenter 3. NTA. That was sexual harassment and that can't be tolerated. Your co-workers are in the wrong for being accepting of that behavior. Commenter 4. NTA, and you should report every single comment you've gotten from the others directly to HR. It sounds like this company is overdue on cleaning out all these garbage people. Reply. Oh God, this place is such a boys' club. Commenter 5. Tell your coworkers that it is not flattering when a strange man 30 years older than you talks to you about how good he is at pleasing women. It is revolting. Gag, retch, spew. NTA. Reply. IKR, he was so gross and creepy, like your grandpa. Settle down. Commenter 6. It's like being hit on by a giant iguana. Reply. Seriously. Like dude is balding, overweight and old. Like gross, no way. I can do way better than him, and seriously, even if I was going to have a fling with a coworker, I'm not, so not, it wouldn't be him. Update. So I went to my boss about the retaliation and he said he would address it. There was a meeting called and I was taken into the boss office while they had the meeting with everyone else. He basically laid down how things were going to be from now on. After the meeting I was met with mixed response. Some of the team leads flat out didn't want me on their team. I was told things like, if you didn't want to be objectified you shouldn't have been a model. I did some modeling work in college for money. Have you tried looking less attractive to dissuade them? One guy got particularly upset and basically told me it was just locker room talk. Guys do this. Everything was fine before you got here, but now everyone has to walk on eggshells to not offend the girl. If I can't handle how guys talk, maybe you should teach kindergarten. There was also some genuine sympathy for me. 2 co-workers told me they were gay and afraid to say anything. We all got hauled into a seminar about diversity, prejudice and sexual harassments. There was a lot of eye rolls and groaning. Turns out this is bigger than me. Upper management wasn't happy with my boss's predecessor or the department, and my boss was hired to clean house. Guess who just volunteered to be cleaned out? A lot of things didn't meet his standards. A lot of the people who have been at the company for a long time were unhappy that none of them were promoted to DH, and because they've done things a certain way and my boss was changing things. My boss has been busy putting his own team together that's loyal to him because a lot of the old timers aren't with the new agenda. I am part of the boss's new team which leans younger. This is another reason for the hostility towards me. My boss has been looking for reasons to get rid of a lot of the older people. My admirer was among them. He's gone now. Management decided he was too much of a liability between this incident and the injury he was responsible for due to his negligence. They gave him his last week so he could leave with a paycheck from a full pay period as a courtesy to him. Anyway, a few of the team leads said they didn't want me on their team because I can't get along with the guys. My current team lead volunteered to take me on, and he's the one who is filling me in on all the politics around here. My boss took me in for a meeting to see how things were and if I was being bothered. He asked me to please be patient and bear with him because he wants to make big changes around here and wants to keep me as part of those big changes. He said before he can get rid of a lot of those people he needs to bring in and be able to keep their replacements, and if I stuck around he was going to need new team leads and I could be one of them. Anyways, for now I'm going to stick with it and stick with my boss who seems to really want to keep me. ETA, I've seen a few comments about age discrimination, so let me clear a few things up. First, when I say older I'm referring to their hire date as older than my boss start. Although he is hiring mostly younger people because we have more current training. Second, while it is true that many of the people on the chopping block are older, there's some who aren't, and it isn't about age. They are on the block because they either have a bad attitude and are unwilling to conform to the new changes or whose skills are out of date. Third, all terminations have to be cleared by legal and HR. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Your boss sounds great. All of those dudes talking about locker room talk, guys will be guys. Have you tried looking less attractive to dissuade them? Are blame shifting and victim blaming and are all major AH. I hope those big changes happen fast so you don't have to deal with them. Reply. My boss is really nice and has been swamped with crap since he started. He's getting there. The infrastructure is in place now, he's working on personnel. Commenter 2. Sounds like this is all working out nicely. I love updates. And I can't believe so many guys at the office condone harassing you and saying you should be flattered. That's really disturbing. Sounds like a lot of the old guard got so comfortable in their position that they feel they can talk like they're in their local bar and have forgotten what it means to be professional. Good to hear they're cleaning house there. Reply: this department did not keep up with times. When my boss started, we were still using Win Server 2008, an old database software made for Win XP by someone's college student kid. There's no support for it, and we were having to keep old Win 7 machines running in compatibility mode because it just will not run in Win 10. My boss ditched it, upgraded to newer stuff, but the old guard had grown comfortable. Many of these guys can't use the newer versions of Win Server and add. That's part of why my boss brought us on. We were younger with more recent certs. Commenter 3: NTA, you shouldn't have been a model. What is this nonsense? I mean, it's not just about looks, it's also about grace and poise and style and other things, but a big thing about being a model is the appearance you are born with. How are you supposed to help this? I really hate the, if you dressed like a frump, you wouldn't be objectified approach. It makes zero sense, and then you would probably get hit with the, why don't you dress nicer line anyway. These guys are and they are for the first time facing professional backlash for their asshattery. And they don't like it, go figure. But instead of having a healthy response, like inward reflection, they are blaming you. Stick with it. It sounds like your boss will be rewarding the people who work hard and are contributing to a positive work environment, which includes you. These guys can either get with the program or move on. I'm happy this is working out for you. Reply: I don't even know how they think I should dress honestly. I'm not wearing revealing clothes at work. I'm wearing pretty standard business or business casual. Maybe they want me to stop wearing clothes that fit properly. Or just wear a sack, I guess. I guess any hint of the female form is too much for their poor minds. Stories number 11. My friend told me something awful and I can't stop thinking about it. David, 36M, and I, 39M, have been friends since high school. My high school had a thing where the freshman students would be assigned a senior to show them around, and that's how I met him. I was assigned to David. In high school, David started dating a girl named Sammy. They were the stereotypical high school sweetheart couple. Going on cheesy dates and sending each other love letters, that type of couple. Well, they got married after college and were due to have a baby in April. However, Sammy had complications while giving birth and ended up passing away from excessive bleeding, leaving David as a single father to his newborn daughter. David, understandably so, hasn't been taking it well at all. For the first month or so, his parents were helping him take care of his daughter but had to go back home as they live about an hour away. Since then, I've been helping David as much as I can as we live in the same town. Last night, he called me at about 2 a.m. and told me to come over because he needed to talk to me about something important. Even though he had woken me up, I wasn't about to leave him alone, so I drove to his house and found him sitting on his front step drinking a beer. It was clear he had been crying, and that definitely wasn't his first drink. He told me to sit with him, so I did. What he tells me next is what I can't stop thinking about. David tells me that Sammy never wanted to have kids, but David did. He explained how having kids had become a hot topic in their house and he was worried it would ruin their marriage. He didn't want her to leave him and also wanted a baby, so he chose to sabotage her birth control and convince her to keep the pregnancy. He tells me that, now, he believes that her death is his fault and said that he can't look at their daughter without feeling guilty and like a murderer. I was genuinely at a loss for words. I didn't know what to think, and I honestly still don't. After his confession, I just convinced him to go to bed and tried not to think about what he just told me. I'm not even sure what to think anymore. This whole situation is disgusting. That was 3 days ago and I've kept in contact with him short until I can figure out what to do next. I just genuinely don't know what to do now. Edit. Thank you everyone for the advice and feedback. Sorry I haven't been replying to any comments. I got pretty busy with life last night and, well, now there are far too many comments to answer. I think the general consensus is that David either needs therapy, so I'm going to try to have a talk to him about it sometime in the next few days. Thanks again for everyone taking their time to comment on my post. Stories number 12. Aita, for telling my husband I would not move without my name on the house. I, 32F, bought the current starter home at age 22. My husband, 33M, moved in about 3 years ago just prior to us getting engaged. I've always considered this to be our and now our 15-month-old daughter's home, even though my husband has never financially contributed to the mortgage. We are looking to move to a larger house, not because we intend to have additional children but because my husband wants a man cave as well as a WFH office. He also says he wants a large house to host parties just like his childhood home. I support his need for his own space, and also see this potential move as a way to help our daughter get into a better public school jurisdiction. Yesterday my husband told me that when it comes to signing for the new house it should be only his name on the deed. He believes he could qualify for a first-time home buyer and this would save money on closing cost. We would be using the equity in our current home, about $200,000, for a down payment, in order to afford the new mortgage. I told him as a woman I need to protect myself and would not move without my name being included on the home. I told him it would be stupid of me to use the equity in the home I've lived in for 10 years and to not have my name on the new home. I mentioned that if something were to happen, or if his feelings for me changed one day that I would be left with nothing. He became very upset by me saying this. He said my thinking is flawed and I need to go to a therapist to work on why I think like this. I told him I don't believe my thought process on this is irrational or flawed and that while I understood that he was offended by my statement, this was a non-negotiable for me. Additional background, my husband makes the same amount of money as I and he pays the electric bill and half of daycare. He constantly talks about money and saving and has made me cancel subscriptions, like the gym, in the past to save a quick buck. When our daughter needed surgery his first thought was, well, how much is this going to cost, while mine was, is this surgery needed and safe? He grew up in a very wealthy family and I grew up lower middle class. Update, I want to thank each of you for your advice and confirmation that I am not out of line in my thinking. I will be contacting a lawyer to set up a trust for my daughter. I will also work on having a will and power of attorney completed. I revisited the conversation tonight with my husband. He stated that the problem is that I feel like I need financial protection from him. He feels that he isn't doing his job as a husband to make me feel secure enough. I let him know I appreciated his input and know he loves me, but that I would not be essentially handing over $200,000. I have told him that we should go to a couples therapist for an outsider's perspective, to which he replied that he doesn't want to talk about finances with a couples therapist, but that I should explore why I feel the need to financially protect myself. I have told him for the time being we will have to agree to disagree as I will not be moving forward with his plan. ETA, hi everyone. I've gotten some questions either in comments or by DM, so I thought it best to edit to answer. No, I am not a bot and no, this is not fake. My name is Ashley and I live in VA with my husband and our 15-month-old daughter. No, my husband is not on the deed or mortgage to our current home. We got pregnant 3 months after getting married and life has been really busy, so I never got around to having him added. He takes care of the financial planning. He has an Excel spreadsheet that he uses to divide costs and says it's about even. He does pay for groceries 3/4 of the time. My apologies for not adding that part. But he does contribute in that way. We do not have a prenup. I asked for one prior to our wedding, but my husband refused, saying it was insulting and that you don't go into a marriage preparing for a divorce. I'm aware he kinda sucks when it comes to finances, but he's good in other aspects. He seems to truly love me and our daughter. I do think his upbringing absolutely has impacted how he acts towards finances. I made this post to make sure I wasn't crazy and I am extremely grateful for all the advice I've received. I'm aware my husband gaslights me. His mother is very manipulative and I think this is a learned behavior from her that I've been trying to work with him on. We did couples coaching prior to getting married and I thought we were on the same page, but his point of view of money changed once we were married and even worsened after our child. You are all wonderful and I am very appreciative of the support and advice. Stories number 13. My maid of honor proposed to her boyfriend during the speeches at my wedding. You know how everyone tells you your wedding day will go by in a blur? They're not lying. It was like stepping into a dream. The white dress, the flowers, the music, my husband's shaky hands as he held mine at the altar, it all felt like something out of a movie. We planned it for over a year. Every detail, every flower, every playlist. It was beautiful, intimate, full of love, and honestly everything I'd hoped it would be. My husband and I had spent weeks crafting the perfect vibe, something warm and personal. And for the most part, it was exactly that. My cousin, who I've been close with since we were kids, was my maid of honor. Let's call her Emily. Growing up, she was like a sister to me. Sleepovers, secret handshakes, crying over boys, laughing till we couldn't breathe. We've been through everything together. So when I got engaged, there was never a question in my mind, she was always going to be my maid of honor. She was incredibly supportive during the planning. Helped pick out my dress, managed a chaotic bridal shower, and honestly just kept me sane through it all. So when the big day came, having her there felt right. Now, during the reception, everything was flowing beautifully. People were dancing, laughing, champagne glasses were clinking. Then the speeches started. Emily stood up for her turn, and I was so excited to hear what she would say. I thought she'd tell some sweet story from our childhood or something embarrassing but funny about my now husband. Instead, she gave a quick, generic toast. Something like, to love, laughter, and the happy couple. It was sweet but felt a little off. Like it was just a warm-up. Then she turned to her boyfriend, Josh, and said, "Speaking of love." I froze. I don't even know what words came out of her mouth next. She started telling their love story, how they met, how he supported her through tough times. My stomach twisted. This didn't feel like a story she should have been telling right now. And then, in front of all our family and friends, in the middle of my wedding reception, she pulled a small box from her clutch, got down on one knee, and proposed to Josh. He said yes. Everyone clapped, cheered, a few people cried. It was like the entire room had collectively forgotten it was still my wedding day. I was in shock. My husband looked at me with this awkward half-smile, like, what just happened? And all I could do was smile too, because what else could I do? I didn't want to ruin the night. I didn't want to seem like the bitter bride or make a scene. So I smiled, clapped, toasted them. But inside, I felt like someone had pulled the rug out from under me. What was supposed to be our night suddenly had a second headline. Over the next couple of days, I tried to brush it off. I told myself it wasn't a big deal. Maybe it was spur of the moment. Maybe she just got swept up in the love of the day. But then I saw pictures on social media, people posting her proposal like it was the main event. Cutest moment of the night. So glad we were there to witness this surprise. People were tagging them, commenting heart emojis, and completely ignoring the fact that it was supposed to be my wedding. That's when it hit me. She planned this. The short speech. The ring in her purse. The timing. It wasn't spontaneous. She chose to do this at my wedding. During my speeches. She had an entire engagement story planned out. And that stung in a way I hadn't prepared for. I haven't brought it up with her yet. I've drafted texts. I've played out conversations in my head. But I haven't hit send. Because part of me still wonders, am I overreacting? Am I being dramatic? But the truth is, I feel like a line was crossed. She made a moment that was supposed to be about us, about her. And even though I love her and want to be happy for her, I can't help but feel like something was taken from me. Like a memory I'll never get back. Update, I finally confronted Emily. It took me almost 2 weeks to say something. Every time I opened my phone to call her or even type out a message, my fingers froze. I'd reread the comments under the photos, hear the echo of clapping during her proposal, and just shut down. I didn't want to start a war. I didn't want to lose my cousin, but I also couldn't keep pretending like it hadn't happened. So finally, I asked her to meet for coffee. Neutral territory. Public enough to keep things calm, but quiet enough for a real conversation. She hugged me when she arrived like everything was fine. Like nothing had happened. I didn't waste time. I looked her in the eyes and said, "Why did you think proposing during my wedding was okay?" Her smile faltered. She blinked. I didn't think you were upset about it. You smiled. You toasted us. I was in shock, I said. What was I supposed to do? Scream and ruin my own wedding? Emily's face fell. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to steal the spotlight. It was just. Josh and I have been through a lot. I got emotional during the speeches and it just felt right in the moment. No, I said, more firmly than I expected. It wasn't in the moment. You had a ring in your purse. You planned that. She looked down at her cup, guilty. Then she said the thing that hurt more than I expected. I honestly thought you'd be happy for me. I thought, if anyone would understand, it'd be you. You always said I deserved love like yours. I didn't think it would upset you this much. I told her the truth, I am happy for you. But you made my wedding about you. I don't even have a memory of my own speech because everyone keeps talking about your proposal. She started crying. Quietly. And I felt like I was the villain again, even though I knew I wasn't. She apologized. Said she didn't think it through. Said she thought it would just be a small moment and didn't think it would overshadow the whole night. I told her I forgave her, but that it's going to take time for me to stop feeling like I have to share my wedding day. That this would always be part of the story now, whether I wanted it to be or not. She didn't argue. She just nodded. We haven't talked much since then. There's a weird silence between us. She texts occasionally, sends heart emojis on Instagram posts, but we haven't been the same. Maybe we won't be for a while, and the sad part? I miss her. I miss what we used to be before all this. But I also realized something else. Sometimes, the people you love the most are the ones who unintentionally hurt you the deepest. TLDR. My cousin and maid of honor proposed to her boyfriend during the speeches at my wedding reception. At first, I was too stunned to react, but later realized how hurt I was. I confronted her weeks later, and she admitted it wasn't spontaneous. She apologized, but the damage to our relationship may take time to heal. Stories number 14. My adult brother's girlfriend has effectively moved in even after I said no. My husband and I own our home. My brother has lived with us since he was 15. He's now 22. We were already getting frustrated with his failure to launch, but due to family issues and the economy we weren't pushing very hard. He met his girlfriend at his last job and she is very sweet. She reportedly also has family issues. She started hanging out at our place more and now is here 6 days out of 7. I work a high-stress job. I'm pregnant and high risk. I'm tired. I don't want more people in my house. My husband is sympathetic and says brother knows he has to be out by the time baby gets here, roughly New Year's, but I'm still feeling very frustrated. I haven't talked to him again because I'm so upset I feel like he'll blow up at him and it won't be conducive to anything. I'd like her to be here no more than 3 to 4 days out of the week tops, but I feel like I'm just going to look like a bitch if I push this. They've definitely picked up that I'm upset and they're doing more chores around the house, which reinforces how much I feel like I'm being bitchy and hormonal. Update: so apparently the girlfriend's mother also had concerns about her imposing and told her yesterday to stop spending so much time over here. We still sat down and established boundaries. Thanks to a lot of you that gave really good advice. To others, these are young adults who are barely starting to figure things out. They're thoughtless and it's frustrating. Doesn't mean I'm going to evict my brother into homelessness. Stories number 15. I, 30F, took off my engagement ring after 12 years with my fiancé, 30M, I think I'm done, but now he wants to change. Does he work extra hours because we need the money? No. We could live off my salary alone. We have everything we need, a house with a low mortgage, no car payments, and no major debts. His extra hours don't bring in extra pay, he's salaried. He's a project manager at a large corporate firm and is working toward yet another promotion. He's a yes man at work, always overextending himself even when it means logging on in the middle of the night. He says it's for the family, but truthfully, it's about career ambition and people pleasing. Have I helped him with his trauma? This is the first time he's ever opened up about trauma. I knew his childhood was a bit rough, but for years he insisted it didn't affect him. Now, suddenly, it's being named as a reason for his emotional disconnection. I'm not minimizing it. I understand trauma is real, but until now, it was completely buried and never talked about. Have I brought this up before? Yes. Over and over. I've told him clearly, calmly, even desperately, what I needed. He always says he's helping by working so hard. And if he does the dishes or takes our daughter to bed once in a while, he wants a medal. He genuinely believes he's doing enough because his intentions are good, but good intentions don't carry a household. Context on my life career: I work in a law firm, it's often very stressful, and I'm currently sitting my FE1 exams, which are the Irish equivalent of the bar. I could have qualified years ago, but I kept putting my own career goals on the back burner to support his. Every time he needed flexibility, space, late nights, I gave it. I don't regret supporting him, but I do regret losing myself in the process. I, 30F, have been with my fiancé, 30M, for 12 years. We met in school, got engaged 2 years ago and have a 5-year-old daughter together. He's a kind man at heart, but he's a workaholic. Over the past few years, he's become more and more consumed by work, often staying up late, waking at 3 a.m. to work again, falling asleep on the sofa most nights. I've asked for help repeatedly, but nothing changes. I work full-time, study in the evenings, exercise to manage stress, and I'm the default parent. Every routine, every meltdown, every bedtime, every household task. He promises to help and then just doesn't. Example: the other night he said he'd put our daughter to bed. At 9:30, I found him snoring while she watched cartoons on his phone after he gave her chocolate before bed. She was wired until 10:30 p.m. and I had to take over again. Last night, I broke down crying. He asked if I wanted to talk. I said no. I was too exhausted to speak and he just went to sleep on the sofa again. I came downstairs after studying, saw him still asleep, dishes not done like he promised he would do, and quietly took off my engagement ring and left it on the table. This morning, I got a long message from him. He says he now truly sees the damage, that he's been emotionally shut down from his own trauma, that he's been in a dark place and taking me for granted. He says he'll go to therapy, change how he works, show up better, and is asking for 30 days to prove himself. And now, I'm torn. Part of me wants to believe him. It's everything I've wanted him to say, months ago. But another part of me feels like it's too late. I've been holding it all together alone for too long. I'm tired, hurt, and honestly unsure if I even want to try anymore. So Reddit, I need advice. Can people really change after years of emotional absence? Has anyone tried a trial period like this? Did it help or just delay the inevitable? How do I protect myself, and my daughter, emotionally if I do give him this time? I'm not wearing the ring anymore. I haven't promised anything. I'm just trying to figure out if there's anything left worth saving or if I've already outgrown this version of us. Comment. Commenter 1. The most freeing thing I did was to leave the man who neglected my emotional needs over and over again. I was in the hospital for 10 days and he dropped me off and visited me once. But when his friend was in the same hospital, he went every single day. You're modeling good behavior for your daughter. I am better alone. He may step up a better parent after you leave, my ex did. And bonus, now, my house is decorated exactly how I like it. Commenter 2. You told him, repeatedly, that you were unhappy. He didn't take steps to change until it impacted his potential happiness comfort. Leaving the ring on the table was you saying too late, I'm done. And now he promises change. Where was all this when you were begging for help? He doesn't listen when you tell him there is a problem. Not until you make it his problem. Is this really the relationship you want? Because it's the one you've got. Commenter 3. 30 days isn't going to prove anything. He can turn it on for 30 days, but that doesn't mean it's going to last beyond that. What's 30 days against however many years of this behavior from him? Commenter 4. Honestly, emotional trauma, therapy and 30 days don't mix. He saw the damage, just ignored it. Now he's just sorry you're putting your foot down, at least that's what it looks like to me. Commenter 5. This has been a problem for a long time. You've told him about it multiple times. If he wanted to change, he would have. He's had plenty of chances. He's only talking about changing now because his inaction is about to deliver consequences. It was never important until it was about to affect him. It was never important to him. All your requests and complaints and troubles were not important to him. Think about that. This is nothing new. You didn't drop a bomb on him with information he didn't have before. He knew. It wasn't important to him. Don't listen to the sounds coming out of his mouth. He can say anything he wants. If you want to stick it out a little bit longer, watch his actions. Tell him what you want, but don't lift a finger to help him do it. You want him to go to therapy. Then he makes the appointments, and he goes, or he doesn't. You want him to help around the house. You can suggest basic directions, but then watch what he chooses to do. The same with parenting. Let him know when it's his turn and then watch what he does. If he really wants to change, he will step up. Otherwise, he will offer excuses. If he steps up, great. Still watch, because if the excuses come back, it must not have been that important to him. And if you're honestly done, go ahead and be done. He could have made these changes at any time. It wasn't important to him. You don't have to stick around. Update, I, 30F, took off my engagement ring after 12 years with my fiancé, 30M. I think I'm done, but now he wants to change. We were supposed to talk tonight, just one honest conversation to see if there was anything left to save. But he fell asleep putting our daughter to bed and never came down. No message. No effort. That moment confirmed what I've been feeling deep down for a while. I've been holding this relationship together alone. Giving chances. Getting my hopes up and being let down every single time. To be fair, over the past 2 days he did try. He was suddenly being the partner I've been asking for. He cleaned without being asked, made me coffee, which he rarely did, and sent me long, apologetic texts. He acknowledged how much he's hurt me and even told me he booked a therapy session for Monday. But the truth is, I feel like it's too late. It took me reaching my breaking point for him to react. And even now, when we finally had a chance to talk, he fell asleep again. He'll wake up in our daughter's bed and find the message I sent, telling him that I'm done. I don't even want to speak to him at this point, though I know I'll have to for the sake of our daughter. I'm hurt, exhausted, and emotionally checked out. After 12 years together, and 5 of those raising a child, I've hit a point where love has turned into resentment. I don't recognize us anymore. I know this won't be easy. But I also know it's necessary. I need peace. I need clarity, and I need to stop trying to fix something that's been broken for far too long. Thank you again to everyone who helped me feel less alone in this. It meant more than you know. TLDR, fiancé and I, both 30, have been together for 12 years and have a 5-year-old daughter. He's a kind man but a workaholic who's been emotionally and practically absent for a long time. I reached my limit. He made a last-minute effort the past 2 days, cleaned, made coffee, booked therapy. But tonight, when we were meant to talk, he fell asleep again. I sent him a message ending it. I'm heartbroken but also at peace. I can't carry this alone anymore. Stories number 16. My 24F boyfriend, 25M, of 8 months is starting to police my eating habits and I'm tired of it. For the record, I am a small-framed, visibly muscular, 5 feet 4 inches woman whose weight fluctuates anywhere between 128 to 135. My boyfriend has always teased and encouraged me to eat more, but it's always been playful before. I used to tease him about his mammoth-sized portions, seriously where does it go, because I had to start making date-night dinners that should serve 4. To be clear, he constantly underestimates his calories and is often shocked when reading nutritional information. I don't know where he got the idea he's knowledgeable enough to be judging what I'm eating, but there you go. Lately he's become very fixated on this idea I'm going to start starving myself without his guidance. I don't have a big sweet tooth, I don't snack on the regular, I only eat about 1-2 of my restaurant entrees, we usually split an appetizer, I'm a lightweight and I prefer a light lunch. These are all things he's starting to criticize on the regular. I want y'all to understand I'm really not depriving myself. I don't go hungry, I just don't enjoy stuffing myself. He doesn't listen when I tell him he's constantly ruining my appetite by forcing snacks on me. Yesterday we woke up late and I knew we were going out to lunch, so I only had 1 slice of thick brioche French toast, powdered sugar, syrup, butter, 1-2 a peach, and 2 slices of summer sausage. He had 5 slices of French toast with all the toppings and whipped cream, 1 and 1-2 peach, the rest of the summer sausage, and an egg. I ended up eating a 3rd slice of his summer sausage, dipped in his egg to get him to stop nagging me. He made another 2 comments about how little I ate before lunch. Then at lunch he had new fights to pick. He didn't want me to order plain iced tea or a diet soda. I don't like overly sweet drinks. He didn't want me to order an entree salad, ranch, bacon, avocado, egg, etc. We negotiated my lunch to a breadstick, a side salad add avocado, and 2 slices of pizza that he nagged me to finish until his dad told him to lay off because he didn't want me too full for gelato later. The whole meal was pretty embarrassing for me. Of course my boyfriend wasn't happy that I wanted a small gelato cup instead of cone. I don't have a sweet tooth, remember? We knew we were going to have a late dinner, so we stopped at a gas station later that evening to get him a snack. I just wanted water but picked up a small package of corn nuts in the hopes of making him happy, and we still had a minor spat, so I picked some candy too. He didn't notice he was the one to end up eating it. He claimed we disagreed because I was irritable from hunger. We picked up dinner at a buffet-style place that charges you by weight for to-go containers. He decided I had to use a medium container instead of a small. Admittedly, I just filled the difference with varieties of salad, but I also had a very rich mac and cheese and some fried foods in my container as well. He was bothered by the small portions I was serving myself, but I was taking many more varieties than him, think sample platter. My container was full. This is where we had our first real fight about my eating habits. He decided to make a 3rd container of food to make sure I ate enough when we got home. The restaurant we were at was not cheap. I refused to back down on not blowing a bunch of money on food that we just end up picking at and throwing away. A lot of the things he picked are foods I don't like reheated. We've been working hard on being more frugal together lately, so I was pretty pissed when he ignored me and paid for the extra food. In the car ride on the way home the argument continued until it got to the point where he was very frustrated and teared up as he shouted, "I work so hard to take care of you and you're always fighting me to hurt yourself." He then proceeded to give me a long, condescending guilt trip. I was pretty enraged tbh. Once we were home, dinner went cold while we Google fought over how calories, protein, sugar, my BMI work, you name it. No matter what I showed him, he wouldn't back down on not feeling like I don't eat enough because muscle weighs more than fat, so you're actually underweight and hiding it by lifting weights. I don't even know what to say to that, so I went home. He texted me 12 times because I left the cold dinner at his place. I was ignoring him while I made food but finally caved and told him I was eating something else. He asked me to text him a picture of my food. I never responded and he texted me another 3 times. This morning he texted to ask if he could bring me breakfast. I said no. I'm kinda bewildered and annoyed. I'm not really sure how we can resolve this one. TLDR, my boyfriend is unwilling to accept any proof I'm healthy and I don't feel like living the rest of my life being nagged and force-fed. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. He claimed we disagreed because I was irritable from hunger. Hulk smash, this is really controlling behavior. Is there any space in his brain for you to be right about your eating habits? Does he do this with other things in your life? Reply. Yeah, it was about as enraging as when guys try to say being on my period is why I'm upset. No, he's normally very laid back, but we've only known each other 8 months. Commenter 2. Does your boyfriend have some kind of feeding fetish, or is this reverse psychology in an effort to get you to develop an eating disorder? Because your weight is almost exactly in the middle of the healthy range for your height, and it sounds like you're perfectly capable of picking out balanced meals for yourself. There is zero justification for counting every calorie or measuring portion size the way he's trying to do. If you want to try and placate him, tell him you'll make an appointment with your doctor and discuss healthy eating while you're there. until then, you don't want to hear another word about meal choices, and if you're given the all clear, this discussion is done. But personally, I think I'd just bail. His obsession with this is just too weird. Reply, I'm not sure. He says he likes my body the way it is but thinks I'd be skinnier if he wasn't around to nag me. I'm pretty happy with the way I look right now. TBH, the thought of having to take him to professionals to get him to listen to me isn't very appealing. Commenter 3. Put your stats in a calorie calculator. Show it to him. Then, with him being aware of what you're doing, log your calories for a day. Let him see that you're not underrating. It's ridiculous that he's policing you like this, by the way. I would have a very serious talk with him about respecting you. Refuse to eat the food he's badgering you about. Tell him it's not taking care of your, it's being an asshole. I'm tempted to tell you to constantly tell him to eat less. Reply, I downloaded a calorie counter app last night and entered what I would have eaten yesterday without his influence and came in well over my daily requirements, but that devolved into him picking apart how calories and the BMI work. I know this is absurd behavior, but he doesn't seem to have a malicious intent, so I'm more puzzled than angry now. He eats a lot but he's in great shape, so it works for him. I eat less and I'm in good shape, he just doesn't accept it works for me. Update September 30th, 2016, 40 days later. So in case anyone is wondering, turns out my, now, ex's mother and 2 sisters had him convinced I had some kind of eating disorder and would nag at him about it and make him feel like crap for letting me hurt myself. All 3 of them are obese, so why he weighed their opinion on nutrition so heavily. I pointed that out, with more tact, and we had a much better conversation about why he needed to lay off on how I eat. He did make a lot of effort to keep his opinions to himself but could never completely let his worry go. Officially this isn't why we broke up, but it was kind of like the shattering illusion from him that kind of made me start noticing how he's quick to be arrogant, condescending, and patronizing when he thinks he's right, and how he buys into every dumb thing his family tells him without question. Stuff like that. TLDR, boyfriend's overweight family was telling him I must have an eating disorder. We talked it out but broke up later anyway. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. It was kind of like the shattering illusion from him. Ted thinks that he has found the perfect girl, Kathy, played by Lindsay Price, but the group disagrees. At first they refuse to give a reason so as not to spoil her for him, but eventually Marshall tells him that she talks too much. Now that Ted knows, he cannot stand her garrulousness. The 5 friends then let slip each other's flaws until all are spoiled, and thus are more annoying to those who had previously not noticed the flaws. Whenever one or more of the group has these quirks pointed out to them, the sound of glass shattering is heard. This represents the shattering of their illusions about one another. Stories number 17. Aita for calling my friend a creepy weirdo after she posted a TikTok about my husband. My husband's practice reached out to Raya's parents and informed them about the situation via an email, as they wanted everything documented, like I mentioned in the comments. The parents have responded. They are shocked and very, very apologetic. They have agreed to chaperone Raya on her appointments instead of June. They wanted to meet my husband personally to apologize, but he informed them that that won't be necessary. June's TikTok video is still in the process of being taken down. No new updates on that. I guess she contested the reports or something. I'm not entirely sure. My husband and I have blocked her. My brother is keeping an eye on her account though, just in case she posts something else about us. We'll see what to do when it happens. We're gonna be consulting a lawyer if she bothers us again in the future. My husband is kinda shaken up, upset, annoyed about this whole thing. He's taken some days off from work and so have I. We'll plan a trip somewhere maybe, to take his mind off of these things. Right now, I need to be there for him. I won't be posting anything for now. We haven't contacted her boyfriend yet. My husband is not in the right headspace right now and I feel it'll be better if we focus on ourselves for the time being. We don't want the added headache of how the boyfriend will react if he's in on this or whatever. We'll inform him after some time. I know this is selfish but I think it's for the best. Thank you all for the responses, smiley face. I, 28F, am friends with this girl, let's call her June, also 28F. In fact, my husband, 32M, and I often hang out with June and her boyfriend. I'd go on double dates, have weekend trips, etc. We've known each other for over 2 years. I would say that we 4 were pretty tight as a group, up until this weekend. My husband is an orthodontist. One of his patients is June's half-sister, Raya, 12F. June often is the one accompanying Raya to her dental appointments. June is also a small-time online influencer. She's always recording and vlogging and stuff. Though my husband and I have made it clear to her and we're absolutely not okay with our faces in her vlogs online, and she seemed to respect that boundary. We don't use social media, apart from Reddit, and we trusted her word when she said she's not gonna post us online. Cut to last weekend, my brother sent me this TikTok link with the message, "Dude, you gotta watch this." I opened the link and it directed me to June's TikTok account. She doesn't have much followers, less than 10K, but the particular video he sent me had like 500,000 views likes, I'm not sure which. Lo and behold, it was a video compilation of my husband with the title, "God, I See What You've Done for Others." The video was honestly the creepiest thing I've ever seen. She had recorded my husband during various of our double dates together, and it was clear he wasn't even aware he's being recorded. In some of the clips, she would start with her face and then pan the camera towards my husband with a cutesy expression and mouthing words like, "Oh my God." The worst one was where he was working on her half-sister, Raya, wearing scrubs, and she recorded even that. She didn't even bother to blur out the kid's face while she was lying on the dental chair. I showed the video to my husband and he was horrified. He said it made him so uncomfortable and violated knowing that someone had been secretly recording him. He was angry that she'd recorded him working on a patient. He texted her asking to take down the video and delete every video she has of him. First she feigned ignorance, then she said that she meant no harm and that it was all for online engagement since, I quote, "TikToks with hot guys go viral very fast," and that she'd gained a lot of followers after posting that. This was all so weird, but my husband and I got our families and friends to report the video and thankfully it's being taken down now. This pissed off June and she sent me a long-ass text saying how I was jealous of her online success and that I couldn't stand seeing her succeed blah blah blah. I replied saying, "You're delusional and unhinged. You're not successful and you'll never be. Stay away from us, you creepy weirdo." Now she's all weepy and depressed and has been telling our common friends how mean I was to her. She's also been posting about mental health on her socials and about how mean some women are with their words lol. Update, I, 28F, called my friend a creepy weirdo after she posted a TikTok about my husband, 32M. We thought the drama was done, but nope. We filled June's boyfriend in on everything, and he was shocked, hurt, and confused. Turns out, June managed his social media, and he had no clue what she was posting. He thanked us, and we thought that was it. But then he asked to meet up, saying he needed to discuss something. To be honest, we were extremely hesitant to meet with him. We were so done with the drama and didn't want to get sucked back in. But, he seemed genuinely concerned and willing to listen, so we agreed. At the meeting, he revealed he'd confronted June. She broke down, professed her love, and claimed her obsession with my husband was for social media clout. Apparently, his total package made for great content. When he asked to see her phone, she refused. So, he checked her laptop, and found hundreds of sneaky photos and videos of my husband. And, for laughs, she had pics of me looking my absolute worst, mouth open while eating, weird faces, the works. I think I'm pretty good looking, but these photos were the opposite. It's like she wanted to prove a point about my husband's ugly wife. June's boyfriend dumped her. But, honestly, we're even more freaked out now. The scale of her obsession is terrifying. Hundreds of photos and videos. That's not just a crush, that's fixation. The thought of her escalating to something more is keeping us up at night. As a small consolation, June's boyfriend made her delete the videos from her social media and laptop. But, God knows how many more copies she has. Despite June not reaching out after all this went down, we're still on high alert. Her radio silence is kinda unnerving, and we're bracing ourselves for whatever might come next. Hopefully it is in fact just for social media clout, not some weird baby reindeer type obsession with my husband. It's kinda unsettling how she was friends with me for over 2 years, we hung out often, we've gone on weekend trips with her and her boyfriend, we have so many mutual friends, and yet no one knew she's doing this behind our backs. Either I'm bad at reading people or she's very good at being sneaky and deceptive. I'm also mentally kicking myself for not realizing that someone was taking pictures of me. I feel my husband and I both need to be less dumb and more aware of our surroundings lol. On a brighter note, Raya's parents are super thankful to my husband for still treating Raya after everything. Update, Aita for calling my friend a creepy weirdo after she posted a TikTok about my husband. I really didn't want to update this situation, but things have taken a seriously dark turn. When I posted about June's thing for my husband a month ago, I thought it was just some weird crush. Now, it's flat out terrifying. The day after my last post, my husband got a super creepy message from a random number, "You have got it all wrong. Please meet me. I'll make you understand." We freaked. Lawyers and cops are on it, trying to get a restraining order. Both our workplaces have ramped up security, and we've warned friends and family to keep an eye out. This whole thing is destroying my husband's mental health. He's anxious 24/7, wondering if he's being followed. He stopped going to work because the feeling of being watched is overwhelming. We're trying to prioritize his safety, and honestly, it's breaking my heart. The other night, he broke down in tears. I've never seen him cry before. It was shattering. He's been talking to a therapist online, trying to cope with the stress and anxiety. But even that's not easing his mind. He's consumed by fear for my safety, constantly worrying that June will harm me to get to him. We're covering our bases, security cams, dash cams, the whole works. And I've scoured our home twice for any hidden devices, thank God, all clear. If things get worse, we're prepared to up and move. Honestly, it's better to have a life in a different state than be dead here. It's heartbreaking to think about leaving our friends, family, and everything behind, but we'll do what it takes to stay safe. Some of the advice on here was really helpful, and I've done most of what was suggested. If someone, anyone, has any more insights, please share. I'm desperate at this point tbh. Stories number 18. My 28M, girlfriend, 24F, sold my PS5 without telling me because she thought it was a distraction. Alright, so I, 28M, genuinely don't know how I've ended up in this situation, but here we are. Strap in. My girlfriend, 24F, and I have been together for a little under a year. Things were good at first, like actually good. She was funny, smart, and chaotic but in a cute way. We met through mutual friends, and I remember thinking, damn, maybe I've lucked out here. A few weeks ago, I bought a PS5. My old one gave up, and I'd been saving for months. I don't blow money often, this was like my treat yourself moment. I bring it home, set it up all excited like a kid, tell her about it, and she gives me this weird fake smile and just goes, oh. Another console, didn't think too much of it at first. She's not into gaming, fair enough. The next day, I come home from work, and the PS5 isn't where I left it. I thought maybe I was losing it. Checked the whole flat. Gone. Vanished. I ask her and she straight up says, yeah, I sold it. You don't need it. You should focus more on us, not games, mate. I thought she was joking. Lake, surely no one is actually that bold, right? But nope. She really logged into my eBay account, because I used it once on her laptop months ago, took pics, listed it, sold it and even arranged pickup for when I wasn't in. I lost my goddamn mind. I didn't even know where to begin. She had this smug look like she'd just solved world hunger, acting like she'd done me a favor. Her argument was that it was a distraction and she didn't think I'd mind that much. I told her she'd basically stolen from me, she got defensive, said she didn't steal it, she just reallocated resources in the relationship. Who even talks like that? Anyway, I kicked her out that night. She's been blowing up my phone with messages like I was just trying to help, you overreacted, and my personal favorite, you care more about a plastic box than your girlfriend. Nah mate, I care more about respect, and that clearly didn't exist in her vocabulary. So yeah. Just needed to scream into the void a bit. I feel like I'm going insane. Anyway, cheers for reading if you made it this far. I hope your day is going better than mine. TLDR, now ex-girlfriend, sold my PS5 because she said it was a distraction so I kicked her out and broke up with her. Stories number 19. Aita for telling my nephews no cake after they were told they could have cake. Not the a-hole. This happened a week ago and I have no remorse but my in-laws are still upset over it. My sister-in-law's birthday was last week. I spent the day making it special for her, driving her around to her favorite stores and spots around town until eventually her friends had a surprise birthday party for her that was our last stop. She had way too much to drink and I had to drag her out of the party when her mom called me multiple times to get home to pick up our kids. It took me an hour and her friends kept booing me but eventually we were on our way home but she kept demanding I take her to other friends' houses the whole time. I said no, it's 8:30 p.m. and we need to pick up our kids. She was upset at me but ended up passing out anyway. We got to my mother-in-law's house to pick up the kids and while I was in the bathroom, I heard my mother-in-law talking to my sister-in-law's sons and telling them that they can have cake at my house. They were going to stay the night at my house so my sister-in-law can have a peaceful night. I was already so frustrated and tired and when I heard that, I was done. I walked out and helped everyone get ready. My mother-in-law was handing me the cake and asked, "Oh, can you take this?" I just looked at her and said no. And walked away. The boys all pouted and the older one started crying. I just didn't care. I got them all packed up and told them that it's bedtime and we aren't having sugar but we can have cake tomorrow. The older one bawled again and had a fit the whole way home. The next day, I brought them over, all the kids had cake, everything was fine. But my SIL and MIL think I overreacted, that I was being horrible and mean to the boys. I wanted to tell them so bad that saying no is not a bad thing but I just kept my mouth shut. It's been a week and they are still bothered by it. Edit to add, I forgot to mention that the kids already had cake. While they were at their grandma's they had cake, and cookies, and ice cream. Stories number 20. Aita for not letting my roommate's boyfriend shower at our place anymore. So I, 21F, live in a 2-bedroom flat with my roommate, 22F. We've lived together for a little over a year and mostly things have been fine. We split rent and bills evenly, and we're friendly, though not super close. We respect each other's space and it's been good up until recently. About 6 months ago, she started dating this guy, 24M. He was around once or twice a week at first but now he's here constantly. Literally sleeps over 5 to 6 nights a week, sometimes full weeks in a row. He's not on the lease, doesn't pay rent, doesn't bring shopping, doesn't help with anything at all. Nothing. I've never said much because I get it, it's her boyfriend, and I didn't want to start drama. But what's been bothering me lately is the shower thing. He showers all of the time. Like twice a day minimum, sometimes more, and every single time, he uses my stuff. My shampoo, conditioner, face wash, razor, deodorant. Yes, I noticed. I didn't even say anything the first few times because I thought maybe she let him borrow something once. But this is just ongoing now. I've moved all my things into my room and carry them back and forth like I'm at a camp or something. I brought it up to my roommate a while ago and she just went he probably didn't realize and didn't do anything about it. Last week I finally said something more direct and told her I wasn't comfortable with him showering here constantly, especially since he doesn't live here, doesn't contribute anything, and uses my stuff. I told her I'd feel different if he at least bought his own stuff or chipped in somehow. She got super annoyed and said he doesn't have any money right now so it's not like he can buy his own things, and that I was being cold and controlling. She told me I was overreacting and that it's just hygiene. I snapped and said it's not about hygiene, it's about boundaries and respect. For what it's worth, I wouldn't have even minded grabbing him some basics if she just asked, but she didn't, and neither did he. They just assumed I'd be fine with it. And honestly I don't even really like him. He's not awful, just kinda moochy and not self-aware at all, so maybe I'm being harsh because I already find him annoying. Now my roommate's barely speaking to me and told one of our mutual friends that I'm being weirdly territorial and passive-aggressive over a guy taking a quick shower. I don't know. Part of me feels bad because he is broke and maybe I'm being too harsh, but I also feel like I'm being walked over in my own home. I just need unbiased advice. So Aita. Throwaway account for anonymity, my normal Reddit account has my name. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, NTA you're setting totally reasonable boundaries. It's your stuff in your home, and it's not fair for her boyfriend to just use your things without asking or contributing anything. Showering multiple times a day and raiding your toiletries isn't just hygiene, it's disrespectful. Your roommate needs to step up and either set rules with her boyfriend or ask him to bring his own stuff. You're not being cold or controlling, you're standing up for yourself in your own space. Don't let them guilt trip you into feeling bad for wanting respect. Reply, yeah, I get he's in a tough spot but it's not fair to call me controlling for wanting some basic respect in my own space. Thank you for your response, I needed some unbiased advice. Commenter 2, absolutely NTA. That's gross and disrespectful. Your shampoo and conditioner once would be one thing, your razor. Deodorant? Fuck no. He doesn't live there. Doesn't contribute. I would bet it's on your lease that it's limited to you two staying there. If your roomie is unwilling to take steps to ensure your boundaries are respected, I'd contact the landlord. But do your best to deal with it with roommate first. Reply, thank you. I'm going to try and talk to her properly when she gets home, but if she brushes it off again I think I'll go to my landlord. Commenter 3, NTA. You are absolutely not responsible for him being broke. That isn't your fault and not your problem. Don't make it your issue to deal with. If your roommate wants her boyfriend to stay over and shower there you have to be treated respectfully about that. He wants hygiene products. Use hers or she can buy him some. He's using yours without permission. That's theft. She needs to set this whole situation straight. If she won't do that then let her be mad when you complain to the landlord. Please don't let yourself be walked all over on this. You've dealt with it for 6 months. Point out how nice you've been, because that's so true, and say the party is over one way or the other. Respect yourself. Reply, thank you so much, I really appreciate this comment. You're right, I've been more than patient and just want to feel respected in my own space. I'm going to try and talk to her properly when she's home and I'll update after, fingers crossed it goes okay. Update 1. So, I ended up having another conversation with my roommate after she got home, mostly because I couldn't keep walking around like everything's fine when it's really not, and the comments I read from my previous post helped me to come to that conclusion. I told her as calmly as I could that this situation is seriously getting to me. I get it that she's in love, but I'm not just some side character in her life who has to deal with the boyfriend constantly being in our home. I told her flat out that it's been months now of him basically living here. Eating, showering, lounging around, sleeping over 5 to 6 nights a week, and it's crossing the line. She just kind of blinked at me and said I was being heartless. Literally said those exact words. Saying I had no compassion for her relationship or for him, or the fact he had barely any money and needed somewhere to stay most days and needed food, etc. She accused me of being dramatic and of caring more about shampoo than a person who means the world to her. And I just snapped. I told her this is not about shampoo, it's about the fact that her boyfriend, who doesn't pay rent, doesn't contribute to bills and isn't even on the lease, has been using all of my personal stuff for months without asking. Like literally never asked, not once, and neither did she. He just started helping himself to my shampoo, my conditioner, my razor, my face wash and my deodorant like I'm running a free hotel and he's a guest. And the worst part is he barely even talks to me. This man's been living in my space for months and I swear we've had maybe 2 conversations ever. Half the time he doesn't even say hi when he walks in the door and just walks straight past me like I'm invisible and hops in the shower with my products like it's no big deal. I can't believe I have put up with it for this long. I told her if either of them had asked even just once I probably would have been chill about it. Like yeah, he's broke, I get it because times are hard. I would have even offered to grab him a few basics if he was short on cash, but no one said anything. They just silently decided it was okay for him to mooch off of me and my stuff and my space without so much as a conversation, like I don't get a say in any of this. She got super defensive, like arms crossed and full of attitude, and said something like, well, he's my boyfriend and I'm allowed to have him over. It's my home too. And I said yeah, you are allowed to have him over, but let's not pretend like he's just here sometimes. He's always here. He's been here more nights than not for the past few months, and when he's not sleeping over he's still around. He's basically moved in without actually moving in. And if he's gonna act like he lives here, then he needs to contribute like he lives here. She just rolled her eyes and said, and I quote, get used to it. He's my boyfriend, and as I said before, he has barely any money, so wouldn't be able to contribute anything, and that was it for me. I've been so patient. I've tried to be understanding. I've given them the benefit of the doubt over and over again. But at this point I feel completely disrespected and walked over in my own home. I've realized I'm not overreacting, I'm reacting to months of not being heard and being treated like I don't matter. I'm calling our landlord tomorrow morning. I'm going to explain that this guy has effectively moved in, he's been staying here for weeks on end, using the amenities, taking up space, and not paying a single penny toward rent or bills. And if he's going to keep staying here, he needs to start paying his share. I didn't want it to come to this, but I'm not going to keep carrying the weight of a third person in this flat just because my roommate's in a relationship. She made it clear she's not going to do anything about it, so now I have to. Thank you for your responses on the previous post, it really helped me come to terms with the situation. Top comments. Commenter 1, in the meantime, take all your stuff and lock it in your room. If you see him come over for a shower, get to the bathroom first and take as long of a shit as you can. Then have a nice long shower that uses all the hot water. Tell him off to his face. Make it uncomfortable for him to be there. Commenter 2, NTA. Most leases have a visitor clauses regarding how long someone can stay that is not on the lease. This guy is a hobosexual hooking up for a place to live. Don't feel bad for her when he finds out he can't stay anymore and dumps her. Total up everything, rent, food, utilities, divide by 3 and demand reimbursement from him, and when she complains tell her she can pay it for him. Commenter 3, NTA. Her boyfriend not having much is not your problem. If she wants him there, then she can pay his share. He is not your responsibility. She can also buy him the products he needs. He does not need to be using your shampoo, conditioner, deodorant, whatever is yours. You are right. Enough is enough. Tell her it is your name on the lease and hers. If she wants to change that, she can move out and you will find a new roommate. If she tells you that you need to move out, tell her, nope. You are the one changing the dynamics. You are the one who needs to find other accommodations. Update 2. Thank you guys for all of your help and comments on my prior posts. And yes, if you can tell, I've taken on board the advice about paragraphs and capitalization. LOL, sorry, I'm so used to typing with no capitals and just totally forgot about paragraphs in the stress of me typing it all out. I appreciate everyone who took the time to comment on my last post. It honestly helped me feel so much less crazy about all of this. So like I said I would, this morning I spoke to my landlord. I was so anxious before calling because I didn't want it to feel like I was like tattling or trying to blow things up, but I also knew I couldn't ignore it any longer. He picked up quickly and was actually really calm and professional about everything. I explained the situation as clearly and fairly as I could and told him that my roommate's boyfriend has been staying over 5 to 6 nights a week, sometimes more, using all of our utilities, taking over our shared space and even using my personal things like it's all free despite not paying a single penny toward rent or bills or even any shopping. The landlord paused for a moment and then told me that it wasn't okay. He told me that technically under the lease guests are allowed for short stays like the occasional overnight or weekend. But then said that's very different from someone else effectively living in the flat, and that if someone is staying over more than a couple nights a week on a consistent basis that counts as an unofficial tenant. He said that if my roommate wants him there full time, he needs to be added to the lease and start contributing to rent and bills immediately. Otherwise, he said her boyfriend will have to seriously cut back on how often he's staying over, and if my roommate refuses to cooperate or tries to keep things as they are, it could result in her being in breach of the lease agreement. He said she could face consequences, including possible eviction if this continues without resolution. That honestly shook me a little, but also validated that I'm not overreacting. Now on to the more awkward part. A few hours ago at around 5 p.m. her boyfriend showed up again. As he came in and went to walk past me like usual, I stopped him and said I needed to talk to him. He looked caught off guard and kind of gave me that fake confused about what expression, but I stood firm and said I just needed to clear the air. I told him I had noticed he's been staying here constantly and using all my stuff such as my shampoo, my face wash, my razor, and yes, I got a new razor the same day I noticed he was using mine, deodorant, all of it without ever asking. I said I was really uncomfortable with it, especially since he's not on the lease or contributing anything. That's when he got defensive. He didn't yell or anything, but his tone immediately turned snappy and kind of guilt-trippy. He said something like that he was sorry he didn't have somewhere else to go right now and that he was in a deep place. He then said that he wasn't trying to make my life hard and that he was just trying to survive. Then he launched into this whole monologue about how he's unemployed, struggling with his mental health, that his family all cut him off, he can barely afford food let alone shampoo, and how my attitude is just another example of people turning their backs on someone who's already at rock bottom. He even asked if I think he wants to be in this position, or if I think he feels good about the way he lives, like I was supposed to feel guilty for bringing it up. I stayed calm and told him that I wasn't trying to kick him whilst he's down. And that if he had just asked me I probably would have said yes and I might have even bought him some basics. But he didn't ask and he just started helping himself, like it was owed to him. He didn't really have a response to that, other than shrugging and muttering that he didn't think it was a big deal and that my roommate told him it was fine. I said it is a big deal to me. This is my home too, and he has been treating it like a free house that he's allowed to live in, and that's not sustainable anymore. I told him my landlord's going to get involved now and things will have to change. Either he gets added to the lease and starts paying his share, or he stops staying over all the time. And if neither, my roommate could end up being evicted. He got quiet after that. Gave me some annoyed half apology and went into her room. Honestly, I think he was more embarrassed than anything. But I'm not backing down now because I've done my part and I've been patient. I've communicated like an adult, so what happens next is on them. No word yet from my roommate after her convo with the landlord, which I assume happened as my landlord doesn't usually say stuff and not follow through with it, and she still hasn't come back home, which leads me to the belief that she's furious. That said, I'm done prioritizing her comfort over my own peace of mind as I've been more than fair. I will update again if when my roommate says anything to me. Also, I've officially locked my shower stuff away and the snacks that I had previously bought, which were my snacks I bought with my money. I went to Argos this morning and got one of those little lockable storage boxes and slid it under my bed as some of you suggested. I made a very unique 4-digit code for it too, so hopefully my roommate's boyfriend doesn't go to the extreme of trying to open and snoop through a locked box. Thank you so much for all of your comments and constructive criticism of my non-capitals and paragraphs. Sorry, but hopefully this is easier to read. Top comments. Commenter 1, you're making the right decisions. They knew what they were doing and were trying to guilt trip you into accepting. They really thought it'd be better to ask forgiveness than permission. If they are smart, they'll figure something else out, but don't let your guard down. With the way they seem to walk all over basic boundaries and personal property, they might escalate and mess with more of your stuff. Commenter 2, get it girl. Great job keeping firm during the conversation with the boyfriend. He was definitely trying to gaslight you into just saying okay and letting him keep going how he's been. Good on you for getting the landlord involved too. You're entitled to just as much of the comfort that your apartment brings that your roommate is. She feels more comfortable with the BF there. You don't, so compromise is needed. She can't compromise. She can get evicted. Keep standing up for yourself. You deserve to have the comfort, safety and privacy of the home that you pay half the rent for. Update 3. Thank you for all your comments and positivity on my previous posts. I'm hoping this will all blow over soon, as confrontation is not my thing in general, and this is a situation I really don't want to be in, as I don't want to be the reason someone who's already struggling ends up on the streets. And before I get into the latest update, I did see a comment asking why I didn't just ask her why he doesn't use her stuff, and the answer is because he already does, lol. He uses both of our stuff whenever he feels like it, but for some reason it's mostly mine he grabs. Anyways, my roommate came home about an hour ago, just before 12 p.m., and it was obvious from the second she walked through the door that she was furious. She slammed the front door shut, slammed her keys a little too hard onto the side table, and threw her bag down. I was in the living room at the time and the energy shift was instant. I waited a moment, then came out from the living room, said hello and asked as gently as I could if everything was okay. She didn't answer right away and just stood there with her jaw clenched before blurting out that she couldn't believe I actually called our landlord. And then asked me why I was being so dramatic. I stayed calm and said that I had already told her I was going to if nothing changed and that I didn't go behind her back. She gave this bitter laugh and said something along the lines of, "Yeah, well, now thanks to that our landlord told me in no uncertain terms that boyfriend's name is not allowed to stay more than 2 nights a week anymore unless he starts paying rent." She was absolutely livid. She asked me if I even understood what that meant. And then said he literally has nowhere else to go right now and he's been staying here because he doesn't have a home, not because they were trying to take advantage of me or something. She kept telling me he was struggling and would have no money to pay rent or bills, and now what, is he supposed to just wander around in the cold at night and freeze to death while you, and I quote, sleep soundly knowing your shampoo's safe and sound? That last line was so sarcastic it would have been funny if it wasn't so frustrating and guilt-tripping. I took a deep breath and said that it was not about the shampoo, it was about how he's been here constantly, like literally living here without ever being asked to contribute anything, and literally had barely even acknowledged me ever. I mentioned that I tried to talk to her about it twice and she blew it off both times. What else was I supposed to do? She crossed her arms and looked at me like I was the most cold-hearted person alive. She told me he was her boyfriend, and of course she would want him here. That he's going through so much and now I've made it so he feels completely unwelcome. She told me his family just cut him off one day with no reason and all of his friends stopped talking to him too and apparently treated him awfully, which in my opinion seems ironic, but maybe that's just me, lol. Apparently he called her after I confronted him earlier and told her he's going to stay at a friend's place tonight, and he sounded like he was about to cry before he hung up the phone, then said this was just another example of people not giving a fuck about him when he needs it most. I literally didn't even hear him leave, so he must have crept out, lol. I could feel the guilt tripping in every word. But honestly, I've reached the point where I'm done letting it work on me. I said that I was sorry he's going through a rough time. But this is my home too. I pay rent, I pay bills. I keep this place going just like she does. I'm not an extra in her relationship. She brought someone into this space without asking, let him treat it like it's his, and didn't lift a finger when it started affecting me. That's not okay. She went quiet at that, still clearly annoyed but with nothing left to say that wouldn't sound like more of the same. After a few seconds she just said, "I hope you're happy," and walked off into her room, slamming the door behind her. I'm not happy. I didn't want it to come to this. But I'm also not sorry. I've been way more patient than I should have been, and I've tried to handle this like an adult. I don't think her boyfriend feeling unwelcome is because I'm cruel, it's because they've both acted like the rules don't apply to them, and that's not my fault. So I guess this is where things stand for now. Tense, awkward, and probably about to get worse before they get better. But I feel like I can see the horizon of no more stolen shampoo, and hopefully this will all be over soon. Thank you for all of your comments, they mean a lot to me, smiley face. Top comments. Commenter 1, if every single person in his life has cut him off, then maybe they know something his girlfriend is refusing to see. Commenter 2, I bet you dollars to donuts that his family and former friends are sick of his freeloading. Why does this 24-year-old prince among men not have a job? That's a place where he can go and procure some money. And maybe he will make enough to pay half the rent so roommate can move out and live with him. Commenter 3, his attitude shows it all. When he thought he had a cushy place to stay, for free, I might add, he was smug about using everything of hers. He smugly smiled at her. He ignored her telling him not to. He was a smug, pricky little prick. That's his default. That's who he really is. He's a user. And his family got sick of it, and his friends probably all got together and helped him until they got sick of him using them too. So this GF is going to sabotage her life for a homosexual because he's brainwashed her into thinking the whole world's against him. Proverb, if you meet one asshole in a day, then you met an asshole. If everywhere you go, everyone's an asshole, then the common denominator here is you, and you are likely the asshole. Update 4. Hi again everyone. I just wanted to say thank you again for the incredible support, advice and unbiased opinions you've given me throughout this whole mess of a time. I've read every single comment on my last few posts and it's been genuinely eye-opening in a beautiful way to realize how many people have been able to offer advice when my head was spinning. So, it's been tense but quiet since my last post. My roommate has barely spoken to me and things have mostly been awkward silence or heavy sighs. I've kept my boundaries up and stayed polite, but we both clearly needed space. Yesterday, my roommate and her boyfriend, yes, he was over, to collect something of his, had a huge argument. I wasn't eavesdropping, but it was loud enough that I couldn't not hear it as our walls are thin and they were yelling. He was accusing her of being a bad girlfriend for not sticking up for him when I talked to our landlord, or sticking up for him when I raised an issue, which she did, lol. He actually said that she let me humiliate him and that she didn't even defend him and said I have made him look pathetic. He went full guilt trip, saying she betrayed him and that real partners are supposed to protect each other. He said he felt humiliated, abandoned, and that she clearly didn't care about him at all. It was like watching someone weaponize hurt feelings just to control his narrative. She was crying and trying to explain, but he kept cutting her off, and then suddenly boom, he slammed the door and stormed out. She followed shortly after. I thought that was probably the end of the drama for the night. I genuinely felt bad for her in that moment. But then at like 2 a.m. this morning she came stumbling and tipsy and immediately started shouting at me. She slurred something about me just being jealous and mad because I don't have a boyfriend. I literally couldn't be further from being jealous of her and her boyfriend, as he seems to be so cruel and guilt-tripping towards her. Then she said it's because I can't stand seeing her happy, so I ruin it for her. Then she called me bitter, pathetic, and said I was sabotaging her relationship because I'm lonely. I didn't even say anything and I just sat there stunned. She then stomped off to her room and passed out cold. This morning I woke up to find her sitting at the kitchen table looking rough. She was hungover and clearly very low. She mumbled something about how she doesn't know what to think anymore and then said she thinks that her boyfriend is only with her for her money. I was genuinely trying to be kind, as I felt bad for her and it must be a tough situation to be in. I told her I was sorry she felt like that, and that she deserves better if that's how she's feeling. I thought we were having a real moment. But then she looked me dead in the eye and said literally, and I quote, "This is your fault." My jaw dropped. I literally said, "Excuse me?" And she repeated it. She said if I hadn't blown everything out of proportion, and gone to our landlord, none of this would have happened and her boyfriend wouldn't be angry with her. And then said I ruined everything. And in that moment, I realized this wasn't fair. I've been nothing but fair and I've tried so hard to set boundaries respectfully, communicate like an adult and not cause drama. I've gone out of my way to make this place livable and still got blamed for everything. And now I'm being guilt-tripped because her boyfriend treats the flat like a free hotel and she's too far gone to see it. Which brings me to the next part of this post. Our lease is up for renewal on August 1st. Our landlord emailed us both yesterday with a standard renewal reminder and asked us to let him know by July 1st if we're planning to stay, so he has time to prep the paperwork or start listing the flat. I've thought long and hard about this, and I have come to the conclusion that I don't want to live with her anymore. Even if her boyfriend disappears tomorrow, the trust and respect is gone and the ability to feel comfortable in my own home is hanging by a thread. I won't be renewing my half. Whether I find a new place alone or with someone else, I'm not staying here. I haven't told her yet because I'm not in the mood to get screamed at again, but I'll be giving proper notice soon and reaching out to our landlord to clarify the process. I'll do it properly and respectfully, but I know that I will no longer live here. I've mentally committed, and this weekend I'm going to start the flat house share search. I'm equal parts nervous and excited. Nervous because I'm in a very good location right now and the rent isn't cheap but reasonable for what it is. I know I might not get quite as lucky again, especially solo, but I'd rather pay a little more than keep sacrificing my sanity, lol. If anyone has any tips or suggestions for websites to search for flat shares, house shares in the UK, I'd massively appreciate them. I've got Spare Room, seems the most legit but can be competitive, Right Move, good for full flats, not so much for house shares, Open Rent, RoomGo, has anyone used this recently, and a few local FB groups I'm cautiously dipping into. I'm also wondering if anyone's had better luck starting as a group of renters looking to sign together rather than joining an existing one. I'd love to hear any experiences, good or bad. I'm still sad that it came to this because this flat could have been a dream, but I know I'm making the right decision. I deserve a space that feels like mine, or at least one I'm not constantly being pushed out of emotionally. So yeah, wish me luck. And if anyone knows of a spare room in a chill flat with non-toxic housemates and boundaries that are respected, feel free to manifest it into the universe for me, hahaha. Thank you to everyone who's commented and supported me through this absolutely bonkers situation. You made me feel sane and reminded me that I deserve to feel safe, respected and comfortable in my own home. Top comments. Commenter 1, oh man, she is going to crash hard realizing she torpedoed her life for an abusive, verbally at a minimum, homosexual. And she accused you of being jealous of her? Good luck, OP. Commenter 2, oh, yes. I'm sure you're really jealous of not having a deadbeat loser BF with no money, no friends, and no family. I'm sure you're positively green with envy. Commenter 3, I'd ask the landlord if he has any other space you could move into. Or, if she moves out, if you could re-rent with a different roommate. Update 5. Hi everyone. If you followed any of my previous posts, first of all thank you. You'll know it's been a tense, chaotic and honestly emotionally exhausting time dealing with my roommate and her boyfriend essentially living rent-free in my flat while I've slowly been pushed out of my own space and sanity. The messages and comments you've left me throughout have genuinely meant so much to me. A lot has happened in the last 2 weeks and I wanted to update you properly. Things have continued to be awkward. Very, very painfully awkward. Since my last post where my roommate drunkenly accused me of sabotaging her relationship and said everything was my fault, she's barely spoken a word to me. I think we've exchanged maybe 2 sentences since then and they were both household things like have you seen the post? Or the boiler man's coming on Thursday. Her boyfriend has still been around, despite what was said. Not as much as before because they're definitely trying to keep it under the radar now that the landlord's aware. She's clearly choosing to keep him in her life and that's her decision but I can't pretend it doesn't suck to come home and feel that tension in the air every day. To be fair he hasn't touched any of my stuff since the confrontation, probably out of shame or fear I'll report him again but the atmosphere hasn't improved. She still looks at me like I'm the villain in her love story and I'm honestly just so tired of being cast in that role. Now here's where things improve. After I gave notice to my landlord that I wouldn't be renewing the lease, he asked if I was planning on staying in the area and I said yes. I've been flat hunting non-stop online, spare room mostly though it's a bloodbath, but nothing quite felt right. A few days after my last post, I was reading through the comments, which again, thank you for, you Redditors are wiser than most real-life advice I've had, and a few people suggested I ask the landlord if there were any other units available in the same building. I hadn't even thought of that to be honest. I assumed everything around here was taken but I figured I had nothing to lose by asking. So I emailed him just casually saying that before I committed to moving out of the building entirely I wanted to check if there were any other units becoming available around the same time. He replied the next day saying that one of the flats just upstairs, literally 1 floor above us, was going to be vacant from mid-July. Same layout, same rent, same everything but slightly newer kitchen fittings and a nicer view, less bin alley and more rooftops. He even offered me a first viewing since I was a current tenant and had always paid rent on time. I was honestly stunned. Same building, same landlord, same floor plan and no drama roommate. Sign me up. I viewed the new unit last week. It's still a 2-bedroom, which works perfectly because my friend, 23F, who I've known since 6th form and who's been looking to move out of her current house share is looking to move around the same time. We had a little catch up to talk about it and realized our timelines lined up almost perfectly. She came to view it with me the second time around and loved it. We signed the lease together this past Wednesday and we officially get the keys on July 17th. Now here's the cherry on top. My current roommate isn't renewing her lease either. Apparently after all the landlord stuff happened she decided she doesn't want to stay in the building anymore. I'm guessing she doesn't want to be under the same roof as me, or the landlord who now knows about her boyfriend's extended stays. She mentioned in passing, very passive-aggressively, that she's moving somewhere with fewer rules whatever that means. So as it stands she's moving out, I'm moving into a new unit 1 floor up, and will no longer be flatmates. I haven't told her where I'm moving yet. I didn't lie but I also didn't feel like I owed her explanation you know. When she asked if I'd found anywhere yet I just said that I've sorted it with the landlord and left it at that. If she finds out I'm literally upstairs that would be slightly awkward. Just to paint a realistic picture for anyone reading who's UK-based or curious, here's how the process is going down. I formally gave my 30-day notice in writing to the landlord as soon as I decided not to renew. He accepted it and noted that my tenancy ends on July 31st. The landlord already knows me, obviously, and I've paid rent on time for over a year so getting the new lease was smooth. No agency faff this time which I'm so grateful for, it was just a standard credit check and ID confirmation. Because it's the same landlord and he uses a registered deposit scheme he's allowing the deposit from this unit to be rolled over into the new flat pending an inspection of this one. So if I leave this place in good condition, I won't have to cough up another full deposit, lifesaver. We're getting the keys to the new flat on July 17th even though this lease ends on the 31st. That gives me 2 full weeks of overlap to move gradually, clean and avoid a stress meltdown. My dad even offered to drive up with his car to help with the heavier stuff, hero. My friend's lease ends around the same time, so we'll be moving in together over the same weekend. I've already sorted my council tax and utilities with the landlord, he'll notify the local council and we just need to set up the new water electric internet accounts from the 17th. We'll split it 50-50 just like I always hoped I could. Honestly, I feel so thankful. Knowing I won't have to be in a flat where I'm constantly tiptoeing around a very moody roommate and her, as you say, homosexual boyfriend is such a relief. I'm very excited to decorate a new space and set new boundaries from day one. Me and my friend already talked openly about how we want to divide shared costs, groceries will be our own, cleaning rota, guests can stay but within reason etc., and it feels normal. I could actually cry at the idea of normal, so now I'm prepping for the move. Starting to box up non-essentials, deep cleaning little bits each day and honestly enjoying the idea of creating a new space from scratch. I've started making Pinterest boards for our new living room and my bedroom. I'll probably do a little post-move update once we're in and settled. Thank you to every single person who read, commented, DM'd or just rooted for me in the background. I owe you all a virtual hug, laughing face. Top comments. Commenter 1, that's awesome. I'm glad it all worked out for you. You and your friend should put something in writing about all that dividing, people get forgetful, and you also need to talk about what happens if one of us gets a partner, because people notoriously try to force roommates to deal with their love lives like this and it's wildly unfair. I get that the lease doesn't allow it but you need to spell it out. Romantic partners can't stay more than 3 nights in a week or whatever would be okay for the two of you. Commenter 2, now the old flatmate is someone else's problem. It would be hilarious if the old flatmate's new flatmate is on Reddit and we get essentially the same series of posts in a few months. Commenter 3, hopefully your current flatmate will be moved out with enough time for you to clean before the lease is up and won't cause too much damage when she leaves. Stories number 21. I, 25F, get told I'm the luckiest girl in the world because my boyfriend, 31M, is hot. How do I respond to people? I love my boyfriend a lot. We've been together for a year and it's the best relationship I've had. He's romantic, sweet, kind, intelligent, and insanely attractive. My issue isn't with him at all. It's with the way people around us comment on our relationship. I don't think I'm ugly, maybe average. My boyfriend says I have the prettiest face and a smile that lights up the world. But he loves me so he sees me differently than others do. Also I live abroad in KR with him, and the beauty standards are so intense and different. I'm sure that plays a part in all of this. I have gotten small comments from friends and family, even a few coworkers saying that I'm the lucky one in the relationship. It makes me feel like he's doing charity on me. It's like all they see is super hot model boyfriend, and kinda ugly girlfriend. Yesterday a close friend of mine sat me down and gently told me she thinks I should distance myself from certain other close friends. When I asked her why, she said they had gone to brunch and were shit-talking me for almost an hour saying I didn't deserve my boyfriend, and that he needs someone skinnier, prettier, and more successful. That even they would be better fits for him. I spent most of the night crying LOL. I know they are just jealous but it's been a year of little comments and now this. Ick man. These girls are friends I was going to have be bridesmaids. I'm just hurting lots. I think it all comes from the fact my boyfriend is shredded, goes to the gym multiple hours a day. Does modeling. I am a plus-size girl, I have some fat on my body. I dress cute and nice but at the end of the day I'm a fat woman in Korea, you know. My boyfriend has been so supportive and always lets me know there's no one else he'd rather be with. That I'm the most beautiful person he's ever met. I appreciate him. I just wish I could get these comments to stop. I have no idea how to respond when people say this stuff. Update, I showed him this post and he said he can't date anyone else because no one will play chess with him as much as I do LOL. We're gonna work on separating from our current friend group and maybe go join some new hobbies to find other friends. Kinda can't wait for the next time someone says something so I can use some of the replies I've gotten. Thanks. Edit 2, not him trying to convince me to post a photo of us together to prove I'm cute LMO. No thank you sir, I will not be fed to the wolves today. Stories number 22. Didn't get my wife breakfast. This morning started simple enough. I woke up unusually early, around 7:45 a.m., and was hit by a random craving for a bagel. Not just any bagel, one of those warm, slightly toasted sesame bagels with a bit of butter that melts into the dough. I haven't had one in weeks, and I figured, hey, maybe my daughter or wife would want something too. So I asked. My daughter lit up and said she'd love one. My wife, still half buried in the blankets, mumbled no thanks. That was that. I threw on some sweatpants, grabbed my keys, and was just about to head out when she called out behind me, actually, if they have muffins, can you grab me one? Just not corn. Anything but corn. Fair enough. Our local bagel place has exactly 2 things, bagels and muffins. That's their entire menu. But they're popular, Like, line out the door on a Sunday, popular, so I knew I'd have to hustle if I wanted to snag anything good. I got there around 8:30. There were maybe 3 people ahead of me, and by the time it was my turn, I scanned the display and, just my luck. 2 muffins left. Both corn. I sighed, ordered my bagels, and texted her right away. They're out of muffins, just 2 corn ones left. No response. I paid, grabbed the food, and hopped back in the car. At the first red light, I saw her message come in, what am I gonna eat? Now, let me preface this by saying, I had already stocked our fridge with things she likes. Just yesterday, I'd picked up some overnight oats, Greek yogurt, and a pack of those egg muffin things she says are the only reason she survives weekday mornings. So I replied, there's oats in the fridge, those egg things you like. She replied, whatever. I'll just eat the corn muffin. But I had already left the shop, and at that point, I was 2 minutes from home. I walk in the door and right away I know something's off. The silence is heavy, and my daughter's at the table already digging into her bagel. I set the bags down and call out, hey, I'm home. No response. I head into the living room and find her wrapped up in a blanket, arms crossed, face blank. She doesn't even look at me. You okay? I ask. I just think it's funny, she starts. Oh no, not the, I just think it's funny line, that everyone else gets a warm, fancy breakfast, and I have nothing. I try to explain again. I tell her I tried. I tell her I got there early, but the muffins were gone. I tell her I didn't think she'd want a corn muffin, and I didn't want to grab something she hates. I remind her that we have stuff in the fridge. I even offer to run back out and get something else, but now she's not hungry anymore. She says I should have gone somewhere else. Or at least brought the corn muffin so she had the choice. And I get it, I really do. From her point of view, maybe it looked like I didn't put in the extra effort. But I also feel like I was just trying to do a nice, spontaneous breakfast thing and somehow ended up in the middle of an emotional landmine. It's not about the muffin. I know that. It's never about the muffin. This feels like it's about something deeper. Like she's feeling left out, unseen, or not prioritized. Maybe breakfast was just the trigger. The thing is, I try. I clean up after dinner most nights, I do daycare pickups, I grocery shop, I keep mental lists of the brands she likes and the kind of milk to buy when she's feeling bloated. I remember her mom's birthday. I don't need a gold star, I just need to feel like it counts. But now I'm sitting here, alone at the table, my daughter is happily eating her bagel, and my wife is upstairs with the door closed. Sulking. Over breakfast. Or maybe it's not just over breakfast. Maybe it's about the fact that lately we've both been tired. We've fallen into routines. We're ships passing in the night. I text more than I talk, she watches shows with headphones while I'm on my laptop. We're in the same room but sometimes we're miles apart. And a bagel run turned into one more reminder of that distance. TLDR, I went out to grab bagels for breakfast, asked my wife if she wanted anything, she said no. Then changed her mind and asked for a muffin, but when I got there, they only had corn muffins left, which she hates. I texted her they were out, came home, and now she's sulking and mad that I didn't go somewhere else for her. I feel like this might be about more than just muffins. Update. I thought maybe after she had some time to cool down, we'd talk it out and laugh about how silly the whole muffin thing was. But no, this blew up into something bigger than I ever imagined. She barely spoke to me the entire morning, just moved around the house with this cold silence. The kind where you know if you say the wrong thing, even accidentally, it's going to reignite everything. I tried again around 10 a.m., asking if she wanted me to go out and get something else. I even suggested a few of her favorite breakfast places. She just said, don't bother. I already feel like an afterthought. That one hit me hard. I didn't think forgetting the muffin, or rather, not turning back for a corn muffin she specifically said she didn't want, would lead to her feeling unimportant. And I know this isn't really about breakfast anymore. It's about something deeper, maybe feeling unseen or unheard. Maybe she thinks I'm not paying attention in other ways too. Later that afternoon, we sat down in the living room. I finally asked her, is this really about the muffin? She got quiet and finally admitted, I just wanted to feel like you thought of me. Like I mattered even if I said no at first. She said that lately she feels like I always do things for our daughter, for the house, for work, but when it comes to her, it's like I wait for instructions instead of anticipating anything. She wasn't mad about the muffin. She was hurt that I didn't think to try again when I saw the shop was out. That I didn't put in a little extra effort. She said she would have done it for me. I didn't have a comeback to that. Because she's right. She has gone out of her way 100 little times when I didn't even notice. It's easy to say, she said she didn't want one, but maybe that's not the point. The point was that I didn't try again, not really. I didn't take the long way. I didn't consider her feelings. I hugged her and apologized. I told her I hear her now, and I'll do better, not just with muffins, but with making her feel valued and seen. We're not fully okay yet. She's still processing. But I made her favorite dinner that night. Nothing store-bought. Just something to show I'm paying attention. We'll get there. I just hope next time, I catch it before she has to spell it out. TLDR, my wife said she didn't want breakfast, then changed her mind and asked for a muffin. The shop only had corn muffins left, which she hates, so I didn't get one. She got upset, not because of the muffin, but because she felt like I didn't care enough to try harder. We talked, and it turns out she's been feeling overlooked in general. Trying to fix that now. Stories number 23. Family angry about inheritance I will be receiving. Do I share the wealth? I started caring for an elderly aunt and uncle as their health started declining. I knew from past experiences that healthcare gets confusing and overwhelming, so offered to help, expecting nothing in return. After a period of time, we were asked to be executors of their estate as they trusted us more than anyone else in the family. Knowing it will be a daunting task, we were honored that they would trust us, but agreed to handle their estate. They later informed me that they named me as sole beneficiary of their estate. They had no children, nevertheless, we have a very close family. I've learned they saved quite a bit of money, nearly $1 million. My aunt has passed and caring for my uncle is almost overwhelming. I've recently learned that a wealthy cousin expects me to equally distribute their estate amongst a small group of the family, including herself. She's questioned me, asking why I think I should get it all. While they named me sole beneficiary, I don't feel comfortable getting it all. He's still living, he may give it to charity, spend it, or need it to pay for his healthcare as his health declines. Needless to say, it's premature to make plans regarding the distribution of his estate, but this conflict has caused a rift involving the entire family. I'm an empathic peacekeeper, and non-confrontational. I have strong ethics and integrity, yet I've been accused of doing horrible things. My cousin is upset with the way I've handled the situation, not sharing details of their estate, even though I expressed that I didn't feel it wasn't my business to share. I would like to share the wealth with some members of the family who could really use the money, but I'm afraid that doing so will upset others if they're not included. I hate this rift in the family and part of me wants to try to mend this conflict, and she knows that's my nature. I think she expects me to come crawling back to her, but I know in my heart I haven't done anything wrong, and I'm getting tired of people walking all over me. I would appreciate words of wisdom and advice. Thank you. Stories number 24. Aita for crying in the washroom. I, 35F, am living with my husband, 44M, and 3 daughters, 3, 5, and 7. For years now my husband finds little things to pick on me for example leaving an empty bottle out, putting something on the wrong spot in the fridge, etc. I know I'm far from perfect and have a lot of flaws, especially with household chores. I'm doing my best though, but I can understand it's annoying him. Yesterday, he came home and said, "Oh, I thought the oven would be preheated already. Did you forget we were going to eat this and that?" To clarify, we never agreed on me doing that. Our oven maybe takes 5 minutes to heat up. The food he wanted to cook wasn't here yet since he brought it with him after work, and he even said the night before, "We'll just cook this, I'll buy it on the way home, no stress, we got time anyway." Then, he complained about an unfinished can of energy drink standing on my desk. He bought tons of these for me, my fave flavor, which I'm grateful for, but ever since he did, he criticizes me for drinking too many. I had one a day, for 4 or 5 days now, and on one day I had 2. He even bought more, saying since you drink so many and they might be all gone soon. All these little things, those tiny jabs all the time, wore me down, since this has been going on for nearly 8 years now. I often sit alone at night, crying. Yesterday I had to cry to let it all out and ended up hiding in the washroom, so Noon would notice. He told me to just go cry about it when we argued later, and I said I already did, which is how he found out about me doing so. Today, he did it again. He was moody in the morning, and when I asked, he said it was because I didn't pick up my phone at 1 a.m. last night. I fell asleep on the sofa and didn't notice he called. Mind you, we were in the same house. He'd just have had to go downstairs to come find me in person. Now, he told me that my walking away from him and pathetic crying in the washroom was immature and just me trying to play the victim. I didn't even tell anyone I tend to cry there until he brought it up. So Aita for crying in the washroom and therefore being immature and trying to play the victim. Stories number 25. Aita for refusing to quit my job to take care of our father when my brother already agreed to do it. I, 35F, am a nurse practitioner and my brother, 37M, works in retail management. Our father, 72M, was recently diagnosed with dementia and can no longer live alone safely. 6 months ago, when Dad's condition became apparent, we had several family meetings about what to do. Since I make significantly more money than my brother and have better benefits, we all agreed, including Dad when he was having a clearer day, that my brother would move in with Dad and become his primary caregiver. My brother even seemed relieved because he'd been complaining about his job for years and said this would give him purpose. I agreed to cover the financial shortfall and any medical expenses not covered by Dad's insurance. My brother has been staying with Dad for the past month, getting familiar with his routines and medications. Everything seemed to be going smoothly. But yesterday, my brother called me and said he'd been thinking it over and believes I should be the one to quit my job instead. He said daughters are naturally better at caregiving and that he could probably get a promotion at work soon that would help with expenses. I reminded him that we'd already decided this based on practical considerations. My income is nearly double his, I have job security, and honestly, I've seen how he gets frustrated with Dad's repetitive questions. Plus, Dad's already adjusted to having him around. My brother got angry and accused me of being selfish and not caring about our father's emotional needs. He's been sending me texts all week about how I'm abandoning my family responsibilities and that our mother would be disappointed in me. She passed away 3 years ago. The thing is, this was his idea originally. He specifically told me he wanted to do this and that it made more sense practically. I don't understand why he's suddenly trying to back out now that we're actually implementing our plan. Am I the asshole for sticking to our agreement? Stories number 26. My 27M wife, 29F, confessed to an affair with her coworker, 19M, during a rough patch in our marriage. I'm completely lost. How do I move past this? I'm 27M, lost after a confession from my wife, 29F. I'm stuck in my own head and need an outside perspective. For some context, we're college sweethearts married for 6 years, and we have a daughter, 4F. My wife's not only my first love but also my best friend. The family we built means the world to me. Recently our marriage hit a rough patch when my in-laws, 59M 58F, stayed with us for a few months. It put a lot of strain on our relationship. My MIL has always been gracious, but my FIL has never approved. I'm not in his top 5 choices for his daughter. He straight up told me I wasn't good enough for her. He even initially refused to walk her down the aisle because of his disapproval. He's our biggest obstacle. I try ignoring him. We no longer had our own space as a couple and family. My FIL took over everything and undermined me to our daughter. He called it his grandfather's rights. He came between my wife and me. She would make excuses for him or say he's still her dad. We were pitted against each other. We stopped communicating, fought often with no resolution, and intimacy went extinct. We're still in recovery. We're working on reconnecting. We went to this retreat for our anniversary, and overall it was good for us. We were able to talk and have fun with each other again. Part of the program was intimacy exercises. We basically stared into each other's eyes in a quiet space for an extended period. It's supposed to help us be present with each other. We decided to continue these exercises at home. So during our last exercise, we're staring into each other's eyes, we're talking about stuff we appreciate, and I start telling her how much she means to me and what specifically I love about her. She looked like she was in pain the more I went on. She told me to stop praising her and how I didn't know everything. I asked her what she meant, and she confessed to a near-physical affair during our fallout. She said she was lonely, we were on opposite sides of the earth, and there was a coworker, 19M, showering her with attention and affection. At first, she ignored him, but his chasing began feeling good, and she softened. She got a high from it. She was engrossed, and they'd have their lunch break together every day and hung out often after work. Other co-workers teased her about how she had the guy wrapped around her finger and him being whipped. She dismissed them but felt guilty about what others were perceiving. So she moved their lunches to her car. She convinced herself the relationship wasn't wrong because nothing physical occurred. In private they shared lingering hugs and touches. She eventually resolved to have sex with him on their next hangout, but she stopped because of her love for our family. She said while on her way out to meet him, she saw our daughter and me having a good time playing together, and our daughter gave her a drawing of our family that reminded her of what we had in our commitment. I remember that night too. Her telling me she was invited out for a girls' night, her getting ready, how excited she was, and her suddenly canceling and ignoring her phone. I'm looking back on it a lot differently. I was too numb to respond. It didn't seem real. She asked me to say something. I asked why she was confessing now. She said it was weighing on her, and me speaking so positively about her made it worse. I asked if she was still involved with the coworker. She swore she wasn't. She broke things off with him, went no contact, and he transferred to a different department. She said losing our family wasn't worth the risk. I asked if she ever planned to tell me. She admitted no. She convinced herself there wasn't anything to tell because she didn't go through with it. My Emil knew before me. The guilt was eating away at my wife, so she opened up to her mom. My Emil told her I needed to hear the truth from her and my wife needed to trust in our relationship. It got to be too much. I told her that I couldn't do this right then and we needed to end the exercise. She kept asking for me not to shut down on her and proclaiming how she loves me and wants our family. I told her that I didn't want to hear I love yous right then. She said the coworker was the biggest mistake she's ever made, and she's fully committed to me. I only told her I needed some space to process. Sometimes she respects my space request, and sometimes she doesn't. I moved out to the guest room for the time being. She sends affirmation texts about her love and what our vows mean to her. I'm just still really numb. This is hell. What to do with her confession. I knew things weren't perfect. I knew we were in a bad place and working our way back, but I never expected this. I was here wanting my wife, wanting to work on our marriage and our family, and she was off sneaking around with some 19-year-old kid. Like, what the hell are we doing here? I don't relate either. I never looked elsewhere. My wife was it for me. To me, she had a place in my life that no one else could fill. I don't have anyone to talk with. My wife was the one I could be wholly myself with and open up to about anything. But I feel I can't do that now. It feels like I was drowning, and just when I was getting back on the boat, I was shoved back into the water. I'm at a complete loss. How do I move past this while continuing to work on my marriage? TLDR, recently my wife and I hit a rough patch. We stopped communicating, fought often with no resolution, and intimacy went extinct. We're working on reconnecting. My wife confessed to a near physical affair with a coworker during our fallout. She said she was lonely, we were on opposite sides of the earth, and the guy showered her with attention and affection. She got a high from it. She eventually resolved to have sex with him but stopped because a family moment reminded her of what we had in our commitment. She said the coworker was the biggest mistake, and she's fully committed to me. I only ask for space to process. Sometimes she respects my space request, and sometimes she doesn't. She sends affirmation texts about her love and what our vows mean to her. I'm just still really numb. I'm at a complete loss. How do I move past this while continuing to work on my marriage? Update. But first I also wanted to clarify something with my in-laws, 59M58F, that I was asked a lot. My wife, 29F, and I opened our home because my in-laws were moving closer to us so they could see our daughter, 4F, more and wanted a place to stay while they got everything in order. Their stay ended up being a lot longer than expected, and I didn't think my FIL would escalate to the point that he did. I didn't realize the toll it'd take on my family. But my in-laws have since moved out. The issue isn't my MIL, though. She has always been gracious. It's just my FIL. On to the update. I had time to process and was in a better headspace to talk with my wife. Thankfully we found an opportunity when our daughter wasn't home. I don't want her exposed to our fights. We were good at keeping her out of them until my in-laws stayed. She was exposed to us fighting then. It's partly why I paused the convo intimacy exercise after my wife's confession because it was only leading to a fight. I want to cultivate a healthier environment for our daughter. My wife said she was glad we were talking again and how she didn't want to hide things anymore or have secrets from me. She asked where her confession about the affair left us. I told her it left us nowhere good. I know I love her, I want our family, and I was committed to repairing our marriage. I thought we were making progress and healing, but I didn't know the full extent of our wounds. The affair is brand new for me. I'm not only struggling with the affair itself but also the coworkers, 19M, age. She sought out a 19-year-old kid. How to reconcile. Me bringing up his age stung her. She said she's not proud of it. She didn't think of his age at the time. She was lonely, his attention felt good, and she craved it. She doesn't think it was the coworker himself. I said it didn't make a difference. I knew of this coworker before the affair, and I've seen him in passing. Around his hiring, I remember my wife told me she thought he had a crush on her and that he'd get shy around her. It was innocent. I never gave it another thought. I told her I wanted to see their text history. She said she had deleted his contact and their texts, but she retrieved a backup from iCloud. It supported her account. The timeline added up to the night they were supposed to have sex. There weren't any weird gaps. Seeing those texts hurt like hell. Her indulging another guy in that way, the emotional intimacy and everything else. She checked out of our marriage and gave that kid a part of herself I was completely shut out of. She said she'd do anything to get us back on track. That she's committed to me and working on our marriage. She just wants to make everything right. I said I didn't know how to trust her. She lied, schemed, and had no plans to tell me the truth. She decided to withhold that privilege. She said she was afraid she crossed a line we couldn't come back from. She had made huge mistakes, and she wanted to fix everything. Prior to marriage, we had promised each other unconditional love. She was afraid she'd lose that from me. That her actions pushed that love out of orbit. She asked if it was still possible for us to recover and keep rebuilding. I told her I couldn't give her a definite answer anymore. I'm not sure if I can forgive the affair, but I'm willing to give reconciliation a try, so we're entering couples therapy. I can't attempt reconciliation without it. There's just too much to navigate on our own and the danger of us falling back into bad communication habits. I want to be hopeful, but what to expect. Right now I just feel beat down and broken. If anything would come of therapy, but my family means the world to me. I need to see if it can be saved. Thank you again for everyone's support and the resources shared. It's much appreciated. TLDR Update 4, recently my wife and I hit a rough patch. We stopped communicating, fought often with no resolution, and intimacy went extinct. We're working on reconnecting. My wife confessed to a near physical affair with a coworker during our fallout. She said she was lonely, we were on opposite sides of the earth, and the guy showered her with attention and affection. She got a high from it. She eventually resolved to have sex with him but stopped because a family moment reminded her of what we had in our commitment. She said the coworker was the biggest mistake, and she's fully committed to me. I only ask for space to process. Sometimes she respects my space request, and sometimes she doesn't. She sends affirmation texts about her love and what our vows mean to her. I'm just still really numb. I'm at a complete loss. How do I move past this while continuing to work on my marriage? Stories number 27. Aita for telling my sister that my only regret is slapping her instead of punching her harder. My 28F, sister Nova, 30F, used to be a normal person until a year ago, give or take. She entered a new group of friends and she became a life coach. She and her friends basically coach people into everything like relationships, divinity, nature, returning to the origins, feminism, etc. They also organize retreats to Peru with their clients, doing there for 2 weeks at a time for some spiritual thing. At first I was happy for her because this new hobby seemed really cool, sounded interesting, and she was happy. The problem is after some time she started to be really mean to people who don't share the same views as her. For example, she tries to convince me that my life choices are not actually my own, but I am in the matrix and all my choices are induced and imposed to me by the patriarchy system. And by life choices she means me loving to take care of how I look, going to salons, dressing up, getting my hair and my nails done. Things that I started doing ever since I was a teenager and that I do monthly because hell, life is short, earning money involves having a job which sucks, so I believe I deserve to treat myself with my own money. But to her it does not matter that I love doing all of these. Somehow it's my husband's fault and he is the one brainwashing me to be like this. I never had any reaction to what Nova has been saying about me because it doesn't bother me honestly. If I know something about me it's not true, I don't feel like having to prove to you that what you claim about my person is false. But yesterday she crossed a line when she made mom cry. She called my mom a breeder who was used by our dad to reproduce and raise kids just because she was a som. For info, my mom was not a som because she wanted to or because she was lazy. Mom has an autoimmune disease that periodically makes her incapable of using her hands. She can be okay today and wake up tomorrow with her hand paralyzed. And Nova knows it. She also knows this is a big insecurity for mom. After the debut of the disease she had years seeing herself as useless and dad having to reassure her she is not. Dad even started making candles with her at home and selling them after just to help her with her depression. So I lost it, slapped Nova, pulled her hair a little and called her names. I know violence is bad and everything, but she was way out of line. Since last evening she is demanding me to apologize to her, otherwise she will report me. But me not apologizing is the hill I am willing to die on in this case, and I told her what I said in the title. If she can't understand she hurt mom, why should I care that I hurt her? Update, Aita for telling my sister that my only regret is slapping her instead of punching her harder. Hi all. Thank you for all your advice and feedback to my other post. Some of you have sent me messages asking for an update, so I will provide. Some of you have also sent me links to some questionable people who have taken my original post to another sub, making fun of my mom for being disabled. In case the same individuals see this post too, I just want to wish you all the very best in life. I would like to call you animals, but that would be too offensive for the actual animals to be compared to you, but if you are the type of creatures to make fun of people with health issues or disabilities, well, I wish life gives each and every one of you what you deserve. Remember, karma always comes back, and when it does, it usually slaps us in the face harder than I did to my sister. So the update. Nova did try to report me to the police and nothing came out of it. We found this out from my cousin, who knew about the conflict and decided on her own to snoop a little, initiate talks with Nova and find out what she is on to. As expected, the police told Nova that she has not sustained any kind of injury, that this is a family matter that should be solved between us, and that basically they have more important things to do than waste time on catfights between sisters. So I will not face any kind of charges, I will not be convicted for assault, I am not going to jail, I will not have anything on my record, etc. Dad tried to have one last talk with Nova, thinking that maybe he can make her see she is wrong and help us mend our relationship. So he dragged me to meet her to talk. Mom was not present because we had to protect her from my sister, so she stayed at home. The meeting and our talk went as bad as I think everyone expected. Nova continued with her nonsense, called Dad abusive, claimed that he is the typical male who wants to put women down, that he controls Mom by making her a breeder and a som so that he could feel powerful, etc. Dad informed Nova that since she has such horrible parents, an abuser and a breeder, she could start considering herself an orphan from now on. This time I did not slap her, I was not violent in any way, and I just told her I am ashamed of being related to her. I told her that she needs help to get out from the cult she joined, and most probably from the drugs she has been using during her retreats in Peru. She denied the cult and the drugs and said I was stupid because I can't understand. She had her spiritual awakening and she is the one seeing things clearly now. I told her no, she had no spiritual awakening. She is just a miserable person with no friends except the ones from the cult, no partner, no life, nothing. And that before judging women for being breeders, she should think long and hard that those breeders were able to do something in their lives, while she is just a lonely, sad person who needs drugs and coca leaves to cope with her misery. So we are no contact with her. I don't know if in the future she will come back to her senses or if we will be able to mend things if that happens. But for now we don't need this kind of insanity in our lives. Stories number 28. My entitled sister. I told a story about my sister on here before, but there are others to share. Her entitlement knows no bounds. Years ago, I was going to college, taking anywhere from 15 to 21 credit hours a semester, while working a full-time job to support my wife and children. I was chronically exhausted and broke. I could pay my bills, but we had a very tight budget. Movie and dinner nights were very rare occasions. We had to strictly budget gas money just to drive to see my in-laws a few hours away. My sister, on the other hand, was a bum. She had a bum husband. He constantly got fired from dead-end jobs, and she wanted the som life without having a husband who was a breadwinner. So, she was on all forms of welfare she could find. Section 8, Medicaid, food stamps, WIC, food banks, community Christmas drives for the poor, monetary help from local churches. If a community service existed, she would sniff it out and exploit it. Every time I looked at my pay stub, I would get angry knowing my taxes went into her entitled pocket. One day she came over to my house and told my wife a sob story about needing baby formula. My wife looked at her like she was crazy. For those who don't know, food stamps and WIC both cover the cost of formula, and it can be found at some food banks as well. She should have more than enough formula each month. She should have a surplus. But, she would trade her food stamps to people for cash, welfare fraud, and run out before the end of the month. So, she was crying to my wife and asked if she could take some of our formula. My wife's jaw dropped. She said, "We have to pay for formula with our own money. We can barely afford it for our child." My sister begged and pleaded, and then stormed out of my house angry because my wife wouldn't give her any formula. She began telling my family that we were being selfish. Around the same time, another sister sold a house and got a decent sum of money, which she and her husband intended to use to build a couple of spec homes to sell. They were building their retirement nest egg. My entitled sister called them up and told them she needed $50,000 to pay off her debts. She fully expected them to hand her the money. When they said no, she said, "You have the money and I need it. Why are you so selfish?" She hung up on them and did the same thing she did to us, calling everyone to say how selfish they were. I haven't been in contact with her in many years. Stories number 29. Entitled retiree usually sits there. This morning I had an early morning coffee with a friend before work. Beat her by a few minutes, so got my drink and went to one of the two tables out the front of this place to wait for her. The table on the right was occupied by an older gentleman reading the paper, so I took the other on the right. A few minutes later a man I'd place in his 70s, old man, comes up to the table, kinda looks at me, and then pulls out one of the 3 seats at my table. I look up politely and say, "Oh sorry, I have someone joining me." He stares at me for a beat, so being the anxiousy person I am, I say, "You're welcome to join us if you want." Old man scoffs at me with a chuckle, makes eyes at the older gentleman sitting at the other table and says, "I'm amused that you think you're giving me permission to sit at this table. I always sit at this table." I respond, "Oh, so you have like a dibs on it?" Old man stares at me, then the other old man with the paper, who I guess he knew, goes, "You can sit here, I'm off anyway." Old man sits and glares at me. Is shortly joined by a few other people who I guess are all regulars, know each other. Thankfully, my friend arrived a few minutes later and sets her stuff down and goes to get her drink. I hear old man murmuring, criticizing me for taking his table. I text my friend the drama and pretend to be engrossed in my phone. God bless her silly socks, she comes out and goes, "Which old guy?" "The one inside." I just laughed awkwardly and indicated with my head the guy at the table next to us, who definitely overheard and got huffy. Whatever, we had our coffee catch up and went on with our day, but I was like, the entitlement. "Are old mates okay?" "Sorry, I sat at the available table." Stories number 30. Aita for crying in front of kids after I lost my husband and their father. I am 35F and have two kids, 12M and 10F, with my late husband Rahul. We lost him in a car accident 2 weeks back. My in-laws has been huge support and I was holding up myself for so many weeks, because of my grieving kids. I cried a little in front of everyone, but kept a brave face for my kids. So in our culture, there is 13RH day when relatives visit. And stayed whole night. Finally, after all this, I let it out fully. And cried my hearts out. He was the love of my life, since I was 19. My kids saw me crying and hugged me and we cried together. Relatives saw it and later next day, husbands and criticized me for crying in front of children. That I have to take care of them and I can't be weak. My Sil agreed with her. Sil never liked me. But my Phil told them to buzz off and heated words were exchanged. After that they left. My Mill also told aunt-in-law as well as Sil to never come back home again, until they apologize for their words. My Mill told to ignore them. But I feel like crying even today. But I don't want to make my kids feel more bad, and that is making me feel like that I can't regulate my emotions. I know it is less of a post, but I need to vent out. Financially we are gonna be fine. But emotionally I don't know. How will I recover? Stories number 31. I'm sick of people trying to justify people in their 30s going after 18 and 19-year-olds. I am 19 years old and I came across a poll on YouTube asking if it was okay for a 30-year-old to date a 18-year-old, and the comments were disgusting. The poster himself said he dated 18-year-olds even though he's 30. I'm not sure if he is telling the truth. However, the men saying that it's okay say it's legal, so it's no one's business. 18-year-olds are adults if they're old enough to go to war, they're old enough, date, stop infantilizing them. Love is love, maturity doesn't matter, etc. As I said, I am a 19-year-old girl and I had too many 30-year-olds act inappropriate towards me expressing sexual or romantic interest. Since I'm not a minor anymore, they feel like I'm up for grabs and I'm sick of it. I don't understand why you want to date someone who's nearly young enough to be your kid. 18-year-olds are called adults because society refers them as adults, but they're still teenagers. 18, what does a grown adult want with a teenager? It just makes me so angry because they choose to not see the wrong in it, saying it's the world that wrong and since it's legal it's fine. The government doesn't have the best track record when it comes to morality, so using them as argument doesn't help. Sorry, I just needed to rant. Stories number 32. I, F25, went no contact with my family, M54, F50, and M20, when I was 18. Now they are reaching out. What should I do? For whatever reason, my parents didn't want me. Once they had my brother, who we'll call Adam, I was pretty much ignored. They didn't abuse me, but I was pretty neglected. Everything was about Adam and how smart he was or how athletic he was or how he was just the best thing since sliced bread. Then there's me, a pretty average kid who got decent grades, didn't play sports, wasn't super popular, and liked to read books. I can't tell you how many times I heard, "Why can't you be more like Adam?" What made me cut off my family was when they didn't attend my high school graduation. Adam had gotten hurt that morning, a sprained ankle, I was eventually told, and our parents rushed him to the ER because he swore up and down he broke his leg. I only got one text from my mom telling me that they would make it up to me with a dinner to some family restaurant I mildly enjoyed. I was done after that. I had been used to be neglected or forgotten about, but I thought they would at least attend my graduation. I moved out that summer to go live with my cousin, F30, and her wife in Arizona. Then I blocked them and they haven't been in my life since. My family did try to get into contact with me after I left, but it was mostly just telling me I was a bad daughter and overly sensitive and didn't care about Adam. Years later, I still don't have any contact with them. I'm now married to my husband John, M26, who loves me and treats me like I matter. We also have a daughter, 2F, that I love more than the world itself. I have a close-knit group of friends and a job that makes decent money that I enjoy. I'm not saying my life is perfect or a dream or anything, but it's definitely leagues better than my childhood. Which brings me to last week, when my cousin called to tell me they had a message from my parents and my brother. This isn't anything new, but the message itself was. Instead of the usual blame game, my cousin told me that they wanted to apologize for everything. With Father's Day coming up, they were hoping I could come down to visit with my family and we could have a discussion. I know most people would scream don't, it's a trap, they want something from you, but I'm not so sure. For one thing, none of them have ever reached out to apologize for anything towards me. But I still have connections to my extended family, so I have info about my parents and Adam from them. None of them are sick or dying and need an organ, they're not in debt and need help with finances, my parents aren't hoping to retire and want to be supported, Adam doesn't need help with student loans, scholarship kid, so it could be genuine. But at the same time, I don't know if I care enough to have a discussion. My life has been great without them, so why do I need them now? I wanted them as a kid, but not anymore. However, John says this could be a genuine olive branch since they never apologize. He might be right. Even if I don't agree to have contact, I might finally get some closure or at least some answers as to why they didn't want me or why Adam was so much better than me. Should I hear them out or just tell my cousin to tell them to go step on Legos? I'll take any advice at this point. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, from someone who is also NC with immediate family members, I suggest you weigh the cost-benefit. What will it cost you? Emotionally, financially, physically? And is it worth the risk? Walk through possible outcomes, best case and worst case scenarios. For me, if they wanted to apologize and talk, I wouldn't be willing to take the time and money to fly to them and do it on their terms. They could have sent a letter, right? The answer is yes. Due to the gaslighting and psychological manipulation my family has put me through, I'd want it all in writing. I'd hear them out but want to see it before I even gave it a chance. Reply, they don't actually have my address, so they couldn't send a letter directly to me. But they could send it to my cousin and she could always give it to me. Commenter 2, that is something I think you need to determine for yourself. But since you're asking for opinions, my advice is ask them to apologize in writing before you ever agree to a discussion. If they're sincere, they will respect boundaries. If you need resources, I'd look up odd_former teacher on TikTok and Instagram. She has a ton of videos about going no contact with her abusive parents and the tactics they use, and often links other NC adults. You may be able to relate. There are plenty of others, but I happen to follow her so she gets my rec. Reply, I hadn't considered the writing. I'm so used to my parents wanting to talk everything out that I didn't think to just ask for written evidence. A paper trail of some of what they've done would be nice, if only for myself. Commenter 3, I would not contact them. I highly doubt they are remorseful, it's likely that they want something. You have your family now, husband and child, why allow your parents to say anything? Reply, if they did want something, I feel like my cousin would have told me or warned me that something was going on them. Yet there aren't any signs that they need anything, other than have a discussion with me apparently. Commenter 4, they want access to your daughter. I would be cautious. Reply, I thought so that too, but my husband said that if they just wanted access to our daughter, they would have tried to reach when she was born. Unless my brother is suddenly sterile, it's not like they won't get more grandkids. Update. Hey guys, a lot of you gave solid advice on my first post, and I really appreciate it. I did ask my friends for their own advice too, but they had more bust their kneecaps school of thought. Funny, but not so helpful at the time. Anyway, even though a lot of you warned me, I was just too curious to not talk to my family. Still, I told my cousin to tell them that I was not meeting them for Father's Day. I had always intended to reject the idea. I wanted to celebrate John and my FIL for being awesome, and that I wanted to do a Zoom meeting instead. I was expecting them to pitch a fit, but they agreed. Yesterday, we met on Zoom. I made sure to have the meeting at my cousin's house because my house is my space and I don't like intruders, whether in person or virtual. John was hiding in the room out of sight, and my daughter was with my cousin's wife. Long story short, my mother is a revolving door and both my parents are idiots. To make it a longer story, my mother had an affair with my uncle Rick, M60, my dad's older brother, and got after she found out she was pregnant. My dad forgave her and agreed to raise me as his as long as they never did a paternity test. Apparently it was easier to act as my father if he didn't have confirmation that I was his brother's child. Spoiler alert, I am not Rick's kid. Unfortunately for me, I have always been my dad's bio daughter. Rick apparently can't have kids, and my dad only found out on Mother's Day when Rick's wife made a joke about it. So my parents just resented me all this time because they were convinced I was Rick's child, despite not having proof. It didn't help that I was just so mediocre compared to Adam, like how Rick is compared to my dad. What I mean by that is that my dad works as a fancy desk job in a titled position and Rick is just your average truck driver. So clearly that must have meant I couldn't be my father's child. They begged for forgiveness. My mom tried to blame my dad for not taking the test. My dad tried to blame it on my mom for being a truck stop for Rick. But they both wanted me to forgive them because they were sick with regret of how they treated me over a misunderstanding. They swore up and down that, even if they weren't always there for me, they still loved me and were still my parents and we can be a real family now that the misunderstanding was finally cleared up. Even Adam was pushing hard for it. People asked about our relationship in my last post, but there's not really much to say. He was like a roommate. I was never bullied by him and he didn't really interact with me, though he definitely reveled in our parents' favoritism. Still, they were all very sorry, but I had to understand why my parents acted like they did. Now, everyone wants to make it up to me and be part of my life again and be the best grandparents and uncle they can be to my daughter. I obviously told them no. Anyone with eyes could see they just wanted forgiveness to make themselves feel better. I told them that my life was better without them and I didn't need them anymore. They got mad at that and called me heartless and cruel and a bad daughter for being so unforgiving and for not being more understanding towards them. Because it was just a mistake that I had a shitty childhood and had to play second fiddle to Adam, I just told them to forget I existed and ended the call. Then I burst into tears, and my husband had to comfort me. Their insults didn't hurt me, even after all this time of no contact, I'm used to that. But all that time feeling like shit and suicidal and wondering what I did to deserve my mistreatment was just a waste. All because my parents were massive douche canoes with chicken nuggets for brains. I'm glad I didn't waste money to go see them. I'm also glad I heard them out for my own closure. They're trying to aggressively reach out and contact me, even getting other relatives to do so. I've already got a bunch of emails and texts this morning ranging from pleads to just hear them and insults about being cruel and heartless. I've been ignoring them, because I've washed my hands of my family and will continue to remain in no contact. So yeah, thank you for all your advice. It meant a lot. Smiley face, relevant comments. Commenter 1, good riddance. Keep your mind clear and just block them all. Stay healthy OP. Commenter 2, some things just aren't forgivable and a ruined childhood is one of them. Stories number 33. AITJ for refusing to keep helping out after I was pushed out of my job. So for context, I was working at my mom's office for 7 years, managing everything and also helping my mom with anything written as she's not native to the country we live and worked at together. That would mean writing papers, correcting her grammar etc. so she would maintain a professional outlook to the outside world. Nothing much of work honestly when it came to writing as I was born and raised here. I know it's not easy for an immigrant to adapt to a new culture and still being successful in her career. It's been over 30 years for her now and she's basically fluent speaking, went to become a business owner, managed to build a house, which can be very expensive in the area we live in. A couple of months ago she sold her business but stayed there as an employed CEO. The new owner decided that I was not needed anymore and for the sake of selling it, she went along with it. Meanwhile I took over my dad's business which was being abandoned for years due to his dementia and trying to build everything up from scratch while also taking care of him, as I live close by to him. My parents live separately, so she can't go see him every day due to the distance of her work-living environment. Also I am the one in charge of family finances, taxes etc. for both of them on top. Now my mom wants me to keep helping her writing papers and letters remotely and I refused, pointing out that I am no longer part of her workforce and that I have a lot of other obligations to attend to. She keeps getting angry at me, telling me it's my duty as her daughter to help her out, that she pays the house with the money she makes and I am the one benefiting as I'll inherit parts of it. So she says she's obliged to demand for me to partake, which means coming in on weekends to check her work for now and later on working from a laptop remotely to proofread everything. I told her that's a task she now has to give somebody else, which she refuses partly to save her face but also because she's not good in handling giving orders to others beside me I guess. Also it takes away my free time, I'd have to also adapt to their new software and network environment and I'm not getting paid for that. So AITJ for drawing a line. Stories number 34. CEO's assistant said it wasn't right I had a nicer chair than he did. Very mild, one bit wordy with a not particularly satisfying payoff. A while back my wife and I were buying our house after a few years of rental. There was a delay in the new house being ready, so we moved in with my mother for a few weeks. During that time I stashed some stuff at work, including bringing in my chair, a very nice Herman Miller Aeron I had gotten second-hand. The office chairs were old. Standard serviceable but not exactly nice. After a few days, I noticed that my chair would be in the conference room every morning. No problem, I just wheeled it back to my desk. I was working 8 to 4 to avoid traffic, so was usually in first. The CEO, of about 120 people, would usually not arrive until about noon, and take later meetings when most of the staff were away. After a few days the chair kept ending up at his desk. Open plan thankfully, so I just took it back every morning. I wasn't foolish enough to go into the CEO's office. He'd shoot me a dirty look every morning, but that was it. After a few more days of this back and forward, the CEO's assistant, who was a lovely person who I felt immense pity for, approached me and told me that the CEO didn't think it was appropriate that I had a nicer chair than him. People would think that my desk belonged to the CEO and it was stressing her out having to basically fight for it every day on his behalf. I told her I understood completely, and would stop fighting over it. I took it out of the office at lunchtime, and reclaimed a normal office chair. The next day she came over and asked where the chair was. I said with an incredibly straight face that I thought since it wasn't appropriate I just took it to my car. She had a super stunned look, but just kind of ran off. Since I was almost always first and I always got parking near the building, pretty much everyone got to walk past my car on the way into the office and see my chair in the boot for a few more weeks. However, given his cowardly nature I never got approached about it again. To this day, I'm 100% certain they thought I was just going to give in and let him have my chair. Instead I got the joy of telling everyone the honest truth about why my chair was in my car for weeks. TLDR, CEO tried to steal my personal chair I had brought to office, citing that it wasn't right I had a better one than him. I agreed, but rather than give him my chair I kept it in the car outside the office for weeks and told everyone why. Edit, added TLDR. Edit 2, moved TLDR to end. People are being weird about it. Edit 3, to answer the most common questions. I asked HR before bringing my stuff in. They knew, my team lead knew, everyone who said hey, what's with the chair knew. Did the CEO actually know? I did not directly inform the CEO, because I never talked to him more than 3 times when I worked there, so it would have been weird. Yes, I could have labeled my stuff, but it didn't seem necessary for 8 weeks. Stories number 35. BFF pregnant with fiance's baby, plans on leaving the baby with me cause she isn't ready to be a mom. I am in a situation that seems so surreal, like I don't know what to think of it. Sorry it may be a long post, so I have a best friend, we've been friends for 12 years and she's been more than a sister to me, we share everything and we've been together through a lot. I also have a fiancé and we all share the same social circle, like a large group of friends. I have been with my fiancé 4 years now and last year June we welcomed our beautiful baby boy, though there were a lot of complications and I also had surgery due to those issues, stayed in the hospital for a month and was on bed rest for the next few weeks. In August one of our friends had a wedding and it is like an 8-hour drive away, so I couldn't attend cause it's quite a hustle considering I wasn't well and the baby was still too young, but my fiancé attended, so did my BFF and a large part of our group. After the wedding, BFF drove back with fiancé, stayed with me 3 days and had to go back to work, which is not in the same city, so I didn't see her for months. Everything went back to normal, I went back to work and everything seemed fine, I talked to her like usual and that was that. Fast forward to this week, I came home from work, guess who? BFF, heavily pregnant, due any time now, her due date is 16th. I welcome her, get her settled and everything is fine, we have dinner then start catching up. Like I didn't want to pry too much, for I figured if she had wanted to tell me details of her pregnancy, she would, maybe she wasn't comfortable yet, so I tell her we have to make plans, go out, shop, eat, normal stuff. Then I ask when she'd be leaving so we can make the most of the time we have. She proceeds to tell me she isn't leaving. I was confused and asked again like, what? She again states she isn't leaving. I ask her why and her answer, OMG, the baby is my fiancé's. I was left speechless. Then she says she's thought about it and she's not ready for motherhood, so she came to deliver, stay for 4 months while she heals and rests, then she'll leave the baby here and go. At this point I feel like cameras are hidden somewhere and it's a prank, half expecting she says it's a joke, but no, she's as serious as a heart attack, which I was sort of having. I didn't know what to do, how to react, whether to scream or yell or kick her out, so I just left, went to my room, locked myself in, but I couldn't sleep either. I haven't talked to fiancé yet, he works as a sales rep and most of the week he's away, so what do I do? Currently it's Saturday, the busiest day at the office, and I can't even think straight. How do I navigate this situation? Update, BFF pregnant with fiancé's baby, plans on leaving the baby with me cause she is not ready to be a mom. Well, thank you all for the advice and support, it's really been helpful and it's good to know I'm not going crazy. Sorry the previous post was long and not well versed. So here's the updated. I left work at 1, got home, took my kid and house help to my neighbor who I've grown close to and sometimes helps me out when house help is off duty. When I came back she was sleeping, like oblivious of the fact that she just turned my life upside down. Then the POS of a fiancé came home and I confronted them, so apparently am that dumb, cause tell me why they tell me they had been together since before, and since she's became pregnant he goes to see her every other week, and supports her, pays her rent, buys her food etc. They said I wasn't supposed to find out. The now ex-fiancé gets mad at ex-BFF for coming over to tell me and all that BS. We had an argument and I blew up at both of them and I chased them out, threw them out and locked the door behind them. I was honestly expecting more fight cause I was ready to mess that man up. Like all that time wasted thinking we were building something together. I mean it's a lot. I'm really angry and disappointed, but I think it's all going to be good cause I don't need that kind of baggage right now. I have a lot to think about and a lot to go through. I don't know how or what happened, but his mother just called like a few hours ago. I didn't pick up. I don't want to deal with that right now. I know he's going to defend him. This is going to say just give him a chance or it's not wrong. I don't know what they're going to try to say to me, but I don't want to hear it right now. They very traditionally don't see anything wrong cheating or in having another child with another woman like it's common, and I'm just really mad. Right, I haven't talked to either of them, but I'm pretty sure they went to his home, which is not very far away, like 2 hours from here, but I don't care at this moment. So I'm here in bed typing. My son just went to bed, but I'm really not taking any calls or anything to do with them right now. I just want to enjoy the peace while it lasts cause you know tomorrow I won't. I want to have a moment of peace so much for a Mother's Day. I was hoping something celebratory, not this kind of drama. I never expect this kind of drama but I'm good and can't waste any more energy to that man. He's not worth it. I know he's not worth it, and thank you all for your support. Thank you all for showing this kind of support cause it's been a lot and it feels like I'm alone right now cause I can't ask my mom for support. Bet she will say I should just stay for the sake marriage and all that be. So I'm not talking to her right now, and anyone who is going to try to tell me to just forgive me, I'm going to tell them to shove it where the sun don't shine. That's all for now. I'm just going to enjoy me peace and my cup of tea. Yeah, thank you guys so much. Final update: BFF pregnant with fiance's baby, plans on leaving the baby with me cause she's not ready to be a mom. Hi guys, it's been quite a while since I posted, so here's the update. But first of all, thank you all for your support and comments. You really helped me gain clarity in this situation. So after I kicked them out, they went to stay at his parents' place. Apparently this affair of theirs was going on for a long time, and every time he was away at work he would go see her. He wanted to have both of us, but she decided she didn't want to be a mom and thus disrupted their plan. That Sunday, as expected, I got lots of calls and texts from his parents trying to make me make sense of the situation, trying to make it seem all normal and get me to take him back and all that BS, but I was just done with him. Nothing could ever make any of that look normal. He also came back the following Saturday wanting to talk and whatnot, saying things along the lines of I gave you space to stop being angry and be reasonable, so I'm going to give you a chance to reconsider your options cause once I leave I won't come back, and as you see I have another wife, which made me super mad. I called him all the names in the book, told him off on how horrible he is as a human being and he's nothing but scum and doesn't deserve any more of my time. I told him to look around, find anything that he ever bought and take it with him. I made sure he collected everything with his name on it and kicked him out of my life for good. Tell me why later in the evening my mom calls me and tells me his parents called them to tell them to talk to me. Turns out I was pretty presumptuous of my mom because during the week we had talked and she's been my rock through all this, and she even took my son for the week as I sorted through everything else. My mom tore them a new one. They had wanted to get the families together to discuss how we should get back together, but both my parents shut that down fast, told them how they gave them their daughter in good terms but they failed to raise their son to be an honorable man, and how the disrespect for me in extension is disrespect for them too. After he took his stuff, leaving the furniture and other stuff he couldn't carry, he mostly took his clothes and shoes and was petty enough to take a pair of shoes he had bought for me earlier this year. I sold them, every single one. It took a little while but I did. I then moved and bought everything new, so now I'm living in this cozy, new, upgraded house. No stress from anyone or anything. I don't know what happened to that bitch, but quite frankly, I don't care. Her betrayal was bad enough. I can't waste time thinking of someone who never gave a good thought about me. They really deserve each other, and the trash took itself out too. Also, the meeting with families happened, but it wasn't to get us together, it was for custody and whatnot. He still gets to be in our son's life, pays for everything including future school fees and all that, and if he doesn't, his parents are to be held liable for that. So it's safe to say I'm set up and comfortable where I'm at. Everything is going well. I'm happy and have peace of it's a happy ending on an otherwise shitty experience. Thank you all for your support through this crazy situation.